Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Friday, the last live stream before the Premier League returns. Loads to talk about, big games to preview, London derbies, Manchester City versus Arsenal. Big talk around the Man City trial as well today. Plus, I think there's going to be a few big takes on this show. An extra special Straight Facts as well. Not only is it Friday with Lawless and Staffy, man like Don is here with us as well. How are you, gentlemen? You all good? You all well? All happy?
I just want to say I didn't approve of Don being here today. It was forced on me. You know, it was not my decision.
Happy FC 25 day, man. Happy FC 25 day.
Happy FC 25 day.
25 day. What, you paid sponsor or something? They give you a little cheeky sponsor and you didn't tell us about it?
Hopefully next year.
Everyone still calls it FIFA, let's be real. But Staffy owes me an apology.
They've changed the name of it from FIFA. They've changed the name.
It's not FIFA.
It's called FC 20. It's called FC now.
Well, nah. I don't like this, bro. It's like they did it to Opal Fruits, man, and made them Starburst. They did it to Marathon and called it Snickers. Stop changing everything. FIFA, bro. Yeah. FIFA.
To be fair, there will be FIFA.
I still call it FIFA, to be fair. I don't know why I said
there will be FIFA and there will be FC because they're two different companies. Because FIFA is about to partner with 2K. So it's gonna be one game, and then there's EAFC. So you can't actually
okay. So they're actually separate. That happened years ago. That happened years ago because you used to have Championship Manager, and then Championship Manager carried on, but then you got Football Manager, that was the original Championship Manager or something along those lines. So it does happen. But yeah, listen. I mean, I do have a PlayStation. I have a PS4. It's at the studio in London. I don't know why I took it in one day and never used it, and it's just sitting there. Maybe I'll get it back.
PS4 in 2024 is crazy, man.
Yeah, Terry, come on now, man. You don't do that.
Yeah, I suppose there's a new one needed.
Me and Lawless, he went on a shopping spree and that. He's talking about PS4s and that. Come on now.
No, but that's what I've got. Maybe I need to upgrade. But again, the thing is, I'll go and buy a PS5. I'll play it twice, and then it will get dusty. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them. But
yeah, give it to.
Listen, when you run that studio, you better have it there. So the people that show up to the studio, they can face each other over there. I want to see live streams of Don getting dunked on by Tom Little.
Oh, never impossible, man. There's going to be some pro club content this year. Trust me.
What did you say? So much hate, so much Terry hate. Why? Listen, I did the video this morning, again, pretending to be an Arsenal fan. And yeah, look, it is what it is. Some people like me, some people don't. But the ad hominem attacks, my general view on all ad hominem attacks ever is I can't debunk the point being made, I can't break down or fight back about what's being said. So I'll attack the person. And ironically, when it comes to what I said about Arsenal last night, the amount of comments from people saying, I can't believe you didn't criticize them. I criticized them loads in the video, but you just didn't hear that bit. But look, I'm not really worried about the hate. It's all good. It's what makes the world go round. So there we go. I don't necessarily think it is the City fans, Twisted Bubba. It's some City fans. The thing is, I got told I'm nicer about Arsenal than I am City. And I sat there and thought, I said this City team are European greats. I said they're the best team in the world. I predicted them to win the league. They've got the best attack in the world. And over the last 5 years, I've constantly praised how amazing their defense is and how hard they work. I've consistently defended Pep when people call him a checkbook manager and said that managing with a big budget and being successful is really hard because of the pressure that comes with it. But I only say nasty things about City. It's just babies, my friend. It's just babies. And people that don't like me because I don't know. They don't like me. But there we go. Just don't watch me. Just unsubscribe and don't follow and you'll never see any of it. So how can it bother you? That's the funniest bit. It's weird. Imagine going onto someone's platform where you don't like to moan about what they're doing that you don't like when you don't need to see it. And one thing I say about all football content creators, whether you like League Gunner or hate League Gunner, whether you love AFTV or hate AFTV, whether you think Goldbridge, Lawless, Don, me, anyone's good or bad, there's nothing any of us are saying or doing that actually impacts on another person. It's just opinions on football. So this is the fact. Not one thing any of these creators has ever said impacts your life if you disagree with them. Because you know what happens? If you block them or unfollow them or don't watch it, your life doesn't change in any direction. So yeah, it's very strange. Big up the football fan content community. Make sure you're out there for supporting all of them. Loads to talk about today, though. I wanted to start off with a little bit of Man City, actually, and news that has come out in the last 24 hours. I want to get your take on this. And the news from Sammy Mukbel, very credible reporter, is that agents of Manchester City players have begun exploring their options amid the possibility the club could be relegated because of the 115 charges against them. Representatives want to know what City's plan is in a worst-case scenario, but it does appear that the agents and the players are seeking an exit route from Manchester City. Does this surprise anyone?
I think it's just sensible. It's just, common sense. It doesn't suggest that they have any inside knowledge that they think Man City are going to get convicted, that it's going to go against them. Obviously, that's how I think a lot of people interpret it. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think they see a cases going on, and you have to plan for worst case scenario. And obviously, like I said, they're asking Man City, what are you doing worst case scenario? So I think it's smart from the agents and the players. Hopefully for them, it doesn't distract them away from what's happening on the pitch. But yeah, I don't think that indicates that Man City it could go against them in any way, really.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, it's someone doing their job. As an agent, at the end of the day, your job is to always get your clients to play the best football in the best circumstances, in all that stuff. Make sure they always get paid. Make sure they play for the best clubs available for them. So if anything happens to City, they need to have alternatives. It doesn't by any means suggest that this is indication that something will happen for City. It's them just being one step ahead. Just worst case scenario. Now we have to leave. What's going to happen? We've seen it happen to Juventus 2006. Some of the OGs in that Juventus team left. Some of them did it. So it's just them preparing. What's to say? Failure to prepare is preparing to fail, something like that. So it's just their agents doing their job. They don't want to find themselves in a situation where something happens and their clients will, I don't know, be out of football for like a year or whatever because they can't get them out of contracts or something like that. I'm not looking more into it's fun banter, to be fair. Yesterday we messaged Vader in the group chat. We said, listen, let us know when the Man City discount is. We're gonna pull up and pay. Greg told them we're gonna pay 50 million for Haaland and I forgot who else. So I said we'll be at the auction. But outside of that, listen, this is not much to look at.
Listen, they can sign me, bro.
None will tell you how they're gonna take like 400 players.
I'm saying, Staffy, I'll take $5,000 a week. They get relegated, take me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'll take a cheeky little 5 bags a week, man. Why not?
Yeah, Dom, but I've seen you play, bro. They wouldn't do that.
Hey, I'm not David, bro. I'm not David.
Nah, Don's pretty good, to be fair. I've seen some footage. Do you know what it is for me? I think this is sensible by the players and their agents. They have to have a contingency plan in place. Again, I don't think this is an indication that they are guilty. And I've seen a lot of City fans respond to these articles online, and I agree with them. What I would say, though, which, again, if I'm playing devil's advocate, the club have said they have unequivocal, undeniable evidence and will win. Why haven't they shown that to the players and the players' agents and families? Just throwing that out there, playing devil's advocate around. If you're Haaland's agent,
there's two sides though, Terry, because you can say that, okay, cool, they can show them stuff for reassurance, but then the players won't be able to see what the Prem has against the club, right? So it's like, okay, cool, you're showing us your evidence, but we're yet to see what they have on you, if that makes sense. So
I do get that, but you guys will do straight facts, right? Say like I was up on a burglary charge, and you look, we've all got the opportunity to go work elsewhere, but we don't want to commit to you, and then you go down to prison, and we're all out of a job. And I say, look, guys, I'm accused of doing it on the 17th of September 2024, but here is the CCTV footage from my house. I was indoors all day. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter what the prosecution has. I can prove I weren't there. I'm just saying. I'm just intrigued to know what they have and haven't been told.
But the thing is with that, and yeah, that's very concrete evidence. So if you was to take that evidence and start showing people, show all the players, all their agents, all of that stuff, there is a possibility, even a small possibility, that gets to the prosecution. The prosecution now know what they have, what Man City have, and then can plan and prep against it. So they want to keep their cards as close to their chest as possible. So when the court is happening, bam, like they're just hit with it.
I always thought, I know in criminal law you have to do this. I'd wonder if it's the same in civil law. You're not allowed surprises in court, though. The idea is in a trial or in a court battle, the idea is both sides get to see each other's cases for and against, so they can prepare to push back against it. So if you're ever, I've never been through that scenario, but if you're in court and the prosecution's got something against you, you're meant to get 30 days, 60 days, 100 days notice, depending on the severity, I would assume, of the case, where your defense team gets to look at everything they've got against you. But equally, the prosecution gets to look at all your evidence for you so they can work their arguments out. So, again, I would love if somebody's more legally trained on this. Again, I'm only playing devil's advocate. I don't think this is anything for City fans to really worry themselves about at this point. Of course, the players are going to do it because, again, if they do if they got kicked out the league and stuck in League Two, 95% of this squad's going. They are definitely going to leave and force a way out. And plus, City would have to. There's no way they can afford these. You can't afford to play Haaland. What is he paid? 400k a week in salary, probably £200,000 or £300,000 a week in image rights. No one's affording that when you're playing. I don't know, Wrexham and Plymouth and Plymouth in the Championship, to be fair, but Exeter and those teams. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it if I was a City fan personally. But that's just me. If you're not guilty, you wouldn't have wasted 5 years hiding. We know for sure they are guilty of about 80 of them. I would say this, though, Dean. I understand the logic. To defend Man City, I would say this. I understand the logic that if you were innocent, you wouldn't have to sort of prolong the sort of case. That's why I'm the only thing I'm annoyed about. I'm not blaming City for this or the Premier League individually. I wish this was sort of televised or had full media access because it's going to be a long report to read afterwards. And I'd like to hear it in bite-sized chunks over 10 weeks so that you could just build the picture yourself. I'd love to know why they delayed it. Is it just because they were trying to get it thrown out for technical reasons? Or is there certain kind of pieces of intellectual property that they are just trying to protect within that process? Because I'll throw a play devil's advocate in City's favor. Say they've got intellectual property that has enabled them to grow their revenue to a point where they've caught Real Madrid and it's all legitimate. Why would they want to share that with everybody publicly so others can then copy that model and make more money? Because having more money makes you more successful if that money is spent right. So that's why I don't think we can just draw the conclusion of because they tried to delay it or tried to get it thrown out, that means they're guilty. I think that
some people don't want to, you look at, say, stop and search. If anyone's here's been stop and search, right? Police wants
too many times,
yeah, I've been stop and search. Police wants to search you. You're innocent. You don't want to be stop and search. It's an invasion of your privacy and things like that. Even if you're innocent, you don't want to give up them certain freedoms. And from what I understand, the big crux of it is interpretations of these rules that came in later. And Man City saying that, well, a lot of this was done before the rules. So I think they just just haven't cooperated, which they don't have to cooperate. They don't have to hand everything over, even if they're innocent. So I don't think that implies guilt. It's just, if you think there's a problem, then you come for us then. You know what I mean? And they probably haven't got something that's clear cut as in, here's the evidence. Okay, case shut. I think there's going to be a lot of interpretation and things like that.
Yeah, look, I do agree with what a few comments that they should have cooperated. Depending upon the punishment, depending on what happens to them, maybe in the end, if they're found guilty and get a 10-point deduction, but that's pushed up to 30 points because they failed to cooperate, then you can definitely say they were right not to. But that's why I think what's really important is to read and digest the inner goings out, why they did what they did, because I'm sure it's going to come up in the court case of why they delayed it. I'm sure the judges that are overseeing this are going to ask these questions, because to formulate a judgment on everything, you've got to ask these questions. I'm just a little frustrated that we're not going to get to see a lot of it as football fans. I think it would, personally, I'm very, very intrigued. But look, City fans, give us your views, give us your opinions, rivals as well in the comments section below. If you haven't hit the like button yet, people, get that done. Please get that smash right now. Just over 2,000 people watching on a Friday is amazing. On to some football. West Ham to beat Chelsea this weekend. Lawless, you're confident, you said in the group chat. You're confident, bro.
I'm confident, and I don't know why. I see when I wrote that in the group chats, like there was a little laughing emoji face on the comment. I didn't even have to click it to see whose laughing face that was from.
Who was it? Tell the people.
It was you. It was obviously you, Staffy. It's clear. You were the culprit. You are guilty, right? Because listen, I have every reason to be confident, and Don even knows this, right? We did a preview on his channel. Our record against them at our ground is excellent. We have a very, very good record against them at our stadium. I haven't seen enough from Chelsea to look at them as this big threat that I should be scared of. Yes, they have the tools to beat us, for sure. They have some excellent individuals. But in what I've seen so far, and what I see against Bournemouth, I'm not sitting there losing sleep over Chelsea in 2024. Okay? So, listen, Fulham was a blip. He got the lineup wrong. He'll get the lineup right. The crowd's behind us. We've got the players. We're going to show them what West Ham are about.
So why was it a blip versus Fulham? And I'm genuinely asking because I wasn't watching the game. Obviously, I was watching. I think it was right after the United game, so I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Because we got the lineup wrong. So wrong. We played a midfield.
So
of
can you tell me what
Alvarez.
was wrong with it? Like, real quick.
Yeah, the midfield. It was Alvarez, Rodriguez, two defensive midfielders, and Souček. Zero creativity in that midfield. And then you've got Antonio, who I think is kind of finished as a starter. No Paqueta on the pitch, no balance. So yeah, I think that was the problem. But then we brought on the subs, changed the game, was able to salvage something.
Where did he play? Where's Balance play?
Balance plays in at left back. Yeah, but that's it. Like we've this week he's going to show that he's learned. Listen, the substitutions changed the game, and we showed what we can do afterwards. So those substitutions we need to get started. And then start the game rather than getting the subs and game management to rescue us. So yeah, I'm feeling confident. Trust me, this London derby, we're gonna be up for it.
I don't get why you're so confident. Yeah.
Why are you confident? Why are you confident?
I'm not overly confident. That's the thing. You know what my take is. It's what I'm saying. I'm gonna start calling you Lawless the chameleon. You know, because on our preview was a lot more humble than this. Yeah. Now you're out here in front of Terry and Staffy. You want to try pump your chest a little bit.
Whoa. I said I was confident.
It's not making sense over here, bro. But listen, I'm gonna be real about it. I'm gonna be real. Yeah.
No. I said we would be confident. Look at the thumbnail on my channel. What does it say? We will win. Right, we'll win this game.
Yeah,
and I said I don't fear Chelsea. So everything I said on my
that's
channel,
fine. That's fair enough. I don't expect you to look at our team right now and think, we've got no chance of beating Chelsea because we're not ready made yet, bro. Like
but if you're not confident, Don, why are you surprised I'm confident if you're not confident? Do you know what I mean?
No, because bro, I'm getting into that now. Yeah. You're in a similar situation to us, Lawless. You've got a new manager. You've got a bunch of new players that are still learning to play together, right? Your manager doesn't really seem far off from Moyes, like I was telling you in the preview, yeah? I think you attack a little bit more, but I would have expected him to attack even more with the players that you've got now got. Like you said against Fulham, bro, that negative midfield, right? If he tries to play that midfield against us, you ain't going to create shit. And to be honest, you're going to play into our hands. Right, you're gonna play into our hands because those guys that you played the other day, the Součeks, the Alvarez, and that they haven't got a lot of mobility. And when you're playing against the likes of Cole Palmer in between the lines, you know those sort of players, it can get long for them. You know, so in this game, I'm looking at it, Terry, and we need to beat West Ham. Yeah, because last year we went to West Ham away, we lost to them 3-1. If you guys remember, we missed the penalty just before halftime. Carney scored that game, then he gets injured in the second half. Caicedo came on, had an absolute stinker on his debut, which, you know, was so bad. One of the worst debuts I've ever seen. But this time round, bro, I'm looking at the team that we've got. We've got a lot of quality, but it's very hard. I was telling Lawless before, it's very hard for me to predict what team is going to put out. You know, he can play a 4-2-3-1 like West Ham. He can play a 4-3-3, right? He can look to invert. He can look to play a pivot. It's very difficult at the minute, but we've got a bit of a problem at right back. You know, we've got no Gusto. We've got no Reece James. So I don't want to be seeing Disasi at right back again. Yeah. If you played Disasi against Kudus, you're looking to kill him, bro. Right? You are looking to kill him because Kudus ain't a left winger, but he will take him on and absolutely demolish him on that side. Yeah. The last game against Bournemouth, we played Fofana towards the end of the game at right back. I reckon we'll probably see that. Tosin will probably come in and play right centre back. Levi and Cucurella on the other side. We'll probably have Cucurella inverting with Caicedo. Enzo's now back, Terry. But I don't really like the positions where he's been playing Enzo. He's been playing Enzo in like the left half space. And like I keep telling you, for me, his best position is in the first phase where he can dictate the game. Maresca doesn't trust him in that first phase because on the transition, you know, he's not that mobile. He hasn't got the legs to constantly break up play. That's the problem, you know. But overall, I'm looking at our team in comparison to them. Bro, we've got a very good team. And you already seen against Bournemouth, our bench changed the game. I reckon Sancho will start for this game.
Our bench changed the game against Fulham. So it's the same position. But your last 3 results, Don, right? Okay, you narrowly scraped to win against Bournemouth, yeah? Bournemouth. You drew at home to Palace and you lost away to Serviette, right?
Yeah, but bro, Palace wasn't a game I looked at. Palace wasn't a game that I looked at and thought they should have won that game. Like we had 5 big chances in that game, and in the second half, it wasn't a jolting. Yeah, we thought we won the game in the first half. It's a game of 2 halves. They scored from one opportunity. Against Bournemouth, you keep going on about this Bournemouth game, they barely had any clear-cut chances, right? Most of their shots were from outside. Most of their shots were from outside the box, and we had chances too, right? And we are going to get chances against West Ham for this game. We need to make sure that we're burying them, yeah? On that right-hand side, I'd rather start Neto. Yeah, Madueke hasn't really done much wrong, but I just want to see a bit of a change on that right-hand side because Neto on the left, he ain't it, bro. Yeah, Sancho's going to start on the left because, what's his name? Maresca's already said, yeah, left wingers options are Mudryk and Sancho. On the right, it's Neto and Madueke. I reckon Madueke will start because he hasn't really done much wrong and he started off the season well, but he's probably got one more game to impress because last game he was poor, you know? But overall, I'm looking at our team, bro. We've got more quality than you, man. We need to beat you. We need to beat you, Terry. For me, my prediction for top 4 is the fact that I believe we're going to beat more of these lesser teams, yeah? Last year, we drew against Bournemouth. We're beating them already. Yeah, you are a lesser team, bro. You are a lesser team, yeah? You need to know your place. You need to know your place. Hold on. Let me finish before you come in. Let me finish before you come in, yeah, Lawless, yeah? Terry, last year, we drew against Bournemouth. We beat them this time round. You know, we've lost to Wolves the past few seasons. We beat them, right, away. And again, West Ham, we lost to them last season. So we need to beat them. So all these little losses that we had against these lesser sides, we need to now turn them into W's because it will help us later on in the season, bro.
If we're so lesser, Don, make sure you win that Conference League this year. Make sure you get that top 4. Otherwise, you'll be a lesser team because you are in danger of being a lesser team because you've accomplished nothing in the last few years in the Premier League. Nothing. So before you go around, you're in danger of becoming a lesser team.
That
Just
Conference
know
League
that.
gonna move crazy.
Because you've won the Conference League, bro. I've got 2 Champions Leagues. I've got 2 Euros.
Now, Don.
You get me?
Now,
I even had to show I even had to show some support at the parade. I showed some support because you know I'm from the ends, like you. You know what I'm trying to say. I had to show some support, and this is how you repay me, bro.
Because it's been a while since you've been at a Chelsea parade. That's why. That's why. You know what I mean? So listen, I'm just saying. Terry, Staffy, have you been impressed with Chelsea? Do you see a team that you're looking at Bournemouth going, yeah, like I can see them getting top 4? Like not talking about who the players they have on paper, the performances.
They're better than last year, if you want me to be honest. So I don't know if I'm impressed, but they are better. They look better.
That's not saying much, Staffy.
Yeah, I get it. But that's what I'm saying. Like I can only be honest about what I see. They are better than last year. And if I'm being honest, Lawless, the only reason I laughed at when you said I'm confident of winning is because there's nothing about this West Ham team. If I'm a West Ham fan and I've watched enough of your games, I think I only missed 1 game. I just there's nothing in this team that would fill me with confidence. You have better players than last season, and it doesn't show. If I didn't know your squad last season compared to this season, and I would look at the results, I'd be like, yeah, they're running the same squad. Because you're not playing that much better football. Your manager is unable to get all your best players on the pitch anyways. Because you just said it. I didn't even watch the Fulham game, and then you just told me the midfield. That's shocking. There's so many decisions that this manager does, and this is why when I say he's the Spanish David Moyes, obviously I do that as a joke, but the fact that he wants to play attacking, but the football looks similar to what Moyes is doing, just shows me how poor this guy is. You know, listen, your midfield, you have better players in your midfield than some of my midfielders, and you still play this brand of football. I'd love to have Kudus and Paqueta in my team. The fact that your manager uses him as a left winger, he plays him as a touchline winger. Mohamed Kudus, your best player, one of the best players in the league, by the way. I think he's top 10. When it comes to midfielders, he might be top 10 in my opinion. I would have to think of that list. And he uses him a touchline winger. Not even on the right, because he could be cutting onto his left, going into the midfield, and just be an absolute creative monster. but he got him playing on the left wing, doing Martinelli shift. Like what's going on there? You know, I don't know, bro. Listen, you have decent players. I think you overrated some of the signings that you made, but you still made decent enough signings to be playing.
You know what this man said? You know what this man said? Yeah, he said he wants to see Bowen up top and then play Kudus on the right. Yeah, as if he hasn't got Danny Ings, he hasn't got the Viking they just brought. What's his name? Fulcrum. Yeah, Mr. Yeah, the guy with the teeth. Yeah, him, that guy. Right. So what's the point of bringing these guys in if you don't want to play them? You want to play Bowen out of position, and Bowen ain't even it as a 9, bro. I can't lie, I don't really like him up top.
Bowen is only your 9 when you're just absolutely trying to play counter-attacking football. That's it. If you're trying to play possession-based football, which is why you sign most of these players, you shouldn't be playing him in the 9. I understand if you want to keep Bowen on the right, then put Kudus in the middle. The fact that Kudus doesn't start in the 10 for you is just it's weird for me. Because you can run a double pivot behind him, or you can run a 4-3-3, and you have him and Paqueta playing a little bit more advanced.
I said Kudus either on the right or in the 10 on Don Show. He left that part out. That's what I said.
And then play Paqueta in the pivot with Kudus in front of it.
Yeah,
I don't think he's that brave. I don't think this manager is that brave.
No, exactly. I don't think he would done, but he could. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think part of it is that he doesn't trust his back line.
Exactly, and that's why Staffy, because you were speaking about this manager before. I didn't really know much about him, yeah. And for me, a better manager would have been, for example, Graham Potter. Yeah, I think Graham Potter would have loved this squad that you've got. I know he didn't work at Chelsea, right? But West Ham is his level. Yeah, the pressure ain't as mad over them sides over there. You know what I'm trying to say? Throwing bubbles and bubble parties and whatnot, right? I think you would have done well with your squad, in all honesty. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, the pressure at Chelsea is more than any club.
Yeah, a lot of bubbles, bro. A lot of bubbles.
Or anything, yeah. Because you don't back your managers. You don't give your managers support. You don't give them time. I'm giving my manager time. And
I've given Hellerman time, bro. I gave 3 strikes. I gave Potter. I was literally coming on the terrace when I first started coming on the terrace. I was literally here defending Potter and talking about the fact that he had fucking C team players, and we need to judge him when he gets players back, and we make more signings. That's what I said. That's when I first started jumping on the terrace.
Like half a season, like you. This is what I'm saying. So don't sit there and say Chelsea is some patient fan base when you're just used to this high turnover managers. And that's what you're used to. Where West Ham, we've had like less managers in our history than you've probably had in your last 10 to 20 years. So
yeah, and they're happy to bring us a lot of success. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? You're just used to just this ain't working, just change it now. But yeah, I was saying.
I like what I'm seeing from Maresca. Like it's
game like 5 now. Watch how you flip.
Lawless, what we talking about? Why are we talking about some mad stuff about watch it flip? We're talking about the right now, yeah. And the right now, what I'm seeing from Maresca, I'm seeing him putting out brave lineups. I'm seeing him making brave changes. Like I said to you, he's very proactive. Yeah, he's not like Poch. If someone's thinking out of the place in the first half, he'll just make the change. Yeah. Last game, Neto was shit in the first half. He changed it. Okay, Lopetegui does it as well. Cool, that's fine. I'm just saying that there's certain things that Maresca's been doing, the little intangibles that he's been doing. That's big improvement on what Poch was doing. Right? We're not the final form. Like it's game week 5. Like I've said, we're already seeing a few different lineups. Already we've had a few injuries and whatnot. These lot still need to learn how to play together. But from back to front, we're starting to improve, bro.
What is tell me what is the minimum you expect? What's the minimum expectations for you to still back Enzo? Like to say if he gets what's that?
You're back.
Yeah, no. What's the minimum expectations for you for Enzo for you to still back him? Like if he finishes 6th, like he's got to get at least Europa League? Has he got to win a trophy? Like what has he got to do?
I've already told you. For me, the expectation I've got for him is to get top 4. Yeah, and to win the Conference League definitely. And
so if he don't, you're Enzo out
to compete. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that, Lawless.
Yeah, but what makes you Enzo out?
If I can clearly see that we're improving, right, in terms of the style of play, there's something sustainable to build from. He's improving players. Of course, I'm going to back him. Right. The reason why most Man United fans want Ten Hag out, and for example, I wanted Poch out, is because I was picking up results, but the performances they weren't giving me any confidence. I couldn't go into any games predicting W's, bro. Right, because I just didn't know what Chelsea I would see, and it's the same thing as these United fans, right? And that's why most of them want Ten Hag out. So if I'm seeing gradual improvement, I'm seeing a lot of improvement, I'm seeing something sustainable, I'm not gonna start saying get him out. Obviously, if we finish like 10th, 15th, and that, then different conversation. But bro, I expect us to be in and around the top 4 for sure.
Well, we'll see. Noted, duly noted.
On your question, that you put out earlier, Laws, around who do I see winning it? Look, Chez asked a similar sort of question in the group chat earlier about are Chelsea still declining? And the answer is no. I think they have got a little bit better so far this season. I also look at them, and this isn't a dig at West Ham, but they should be beating you. They have spent more money. They have a better squad. I wouldn't say right now they have a better manager. We don't know enough about Maresca to say, but they should be winning this game. And that for me is, it's not. I'm not trying to take any pressure off West Ham because they're at home, but Chelsea, unless they're away from home against Liverpool, Man City, or Arsenal at this particular stage, they should be seen as close to favourites or favourites in every single one of those games. They just should be. So Chelsea should be winning this football match. No problem, but they should be winning this football match, and they should be doing it in a way that is relatively comfortable. It shouldn't be a game where, it shouldn't be. With what they've spent, the manager they've got, and the way a lot of their fans praise their players. When I say relatively convincing, I'm talking about they walk away 2-0. You know, they've had to work hard, but they weren't really in any danger. If they're winning the game, but bloody hell, how did West Ham not win that? They were so good, they were battering them. That still isn't good enough for the progression of the team. And I have the same energy for my club. West Ham have the players to beat them if they turn up on their day. But again, I haven't been that impressed with you boys so far this year. I get your point that giving your manager time. I looked at your summer, and you were one of those clubs that kind of won the window. But so far, I've watched you play this season, and it just looks really slow and drab.
It looks shit, Terry, just be real. It looks shit.
I mean, yeah, you can say that. I'm just slow and drab. So yeah, if I'm predicting an outcome of this game, I'm going 3-1 Chelsea in this match.
You know what? Something real quick to Lawless. Is this a big game in London?
Yeah, I mean,
West Ham Chelsea is always a big game, bro. In London,
yeah,
always.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is the only reason I'm asking is because like Don was going to West Ham parade, so I don't know how big that rivalry was.
Just to break the rivalry down, so West Ham and Chelsea's firms back in the day when they were proper, they were the two of the most dangerous, and some rivalries.
ICF and the Headhunters,
yeah. So quite a lot of the rivalries in England actually stem from the firms of clubs having big rivalries with one another. Like West Ham and Man United, their firms had a big rivalry, and there is a little bit of needle between the two football clubs, but a lot of that stems from the kind of the hooliganism off the pitch as well. But yeah, West Ham Chelsea is a big game in England.
I'm just saying.
I remember when I used to go to the game when Lampard was about Staffy. When Lampard was about, bro, he used to get crazy abuse because he was at West Ham, innit?
Yeah.
What you don't realize, Staffy, is Don lives in East London. He lives in West Ham territory.
He's close to us.
Yeah, I literally, bro, I've got so many friends that are West Ham fans, bro. Honestly, everywhere.
Yeah. That's the reason I want to know that.
This sellout decided to support a West London team from his home in East London.
Terrible.
Disgraceful.
Could never be me.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was out here supporting you lot when you was in the fucking championship, bro. You should thank me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's like living
I reckon Don grew up a West Ham fan, but switched to Chelsea when the success came. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Never. I didn't even know what West Ham was.
I have.
How do you not know what West Ham was? And you live in East London.
Of course I did. I'm joking about. But yeah, never, bro. Never. You know, listen. West Ham have always growing up. West Ham was just always that team. You go up and down. You just you're down there, like you're nowhere near me. So there's nothing to worry about. It's like Spurs, bro. You've been so far from me. There's just nothing to really worry about with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
So my age group is different with West Ham because Man United and West Ham had a rivalry. My two of my grandparents are West Ham fans, and they were just always a football team that played decent football. You know, no one liked going to their away ground, especially as fans, as an example. And yeah,
chicken run, bro. Jesus,
I used to love when we played in Upton Park.
Going to Upton Park was just it was an amazing experience. I was very lucky. I used to work at the Barclays and help run the Barclays that was right by it. But it's literally in the middle of everybody's housing in the street. It's what I call like an old school football stadium. Anfield similar. I mean, Old Trafford's changed a bit now, but it's right by people's houses as well. Like, I love a football ground that's in amongst where people live.
The actual community.
Exactly.
Now when you walk past it now, it's literally just flats, bro. Just all new flats.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
That's
And I mean, West Ham's new stadium. It's on the Olympic Park. It's very nice. It's very good, but it's. I just like the traditions of football stadiums literally being in the middle of where people live, as opposed to.
That's why there's a little bit of a, you know, when we spoke about the whole bridge, like moving from the bridge to a new stadium, that's where obviously like you have to look at the other side of it. Like I like the bridge because it's like a classic tight small pitch, like Selhurst Park, like Upton Park, and that.
Yeah,
if we move, we're gonna lose a bit of that because we haven't really got atmosphere as it is, Terry. We're gonna lose that. You know what I'm saying?
Imagine like we've got a 66,000 seater stadium and you're knocking about in what, 35,000 seater, 38,000.
You see why we need to move? Bro.
Yeah, that's
You're
what I mean.
crazy. Man United's training ground's bigger than that.
It's 43k. No, it's not 35,000. Our stadium holds about
43K, is it?
43,000. It's shit, bro. It's shit. Yeah, but we need to move. That's what I'm saying. We need to move.
You heard it here on the terrace first. Chelsea fan Don says Stamford Bridge is shit.
No. I didn't say Stamford Bridge is shit. I said the size of it is shit. Of course it is. We need to upgrade.
You better watch out. You get them out of context clips.
Don said there's no atmosphere, and the size of Stamford Bridge is shit. I'm taking that as Stamford Bridge.
No atmosphere.
No, the atmosphere at the bridge is bad, man. It's bad at times. Honestly, away games are better.
What's your favorite Chelsea songs?
My favorite Chelsea songs. Ooh.
Chelsea.
Probably nah. Double. John Terry has won the double. And the ship
never heard that one.
Fuck all again. And John Terry has won the double. You know what I'm saying? I like that one.
I didn't know that.
It's not just Chelsea.
Just going to away grounds. I mean, going away games is always my favorite. It was always hard to not. Man United away fans, and I think you guys, Lawless, definitely come across them. Don's probably seen them at Man United away fans are very, very noisy and don't stop singing.
Yeah.
So whenever I went to a lot of away grounds, I didn't notice there was a bad atmosphere from, say, the home fans, because I was in amongst 5,000 to 10,000 United fans that literally don't sit down and don't stop singing for the entire game. I always quite enjoyed the trips to Stamford Bridge that we had. One of my best experiences ever was there. It was in the 3-3 in the league, and we were 1-0 down at half time.
What season was that?
Oh my God, you're probably looking at 2011-12, maybe 2012-13. No, it wasn't that season. I think it was 2011-12.
Oh, when you fucking brought on Hernandez off the bench.
Yes. So we're 1-0 down at half time, and we all went down to get a beer. And I got talking to a couple of United fans, and we heard a cheer. We were like, the game back on. We rushed upstairs. And everyone, it's 2-0. We were like, this is shit. Before I'd even got back to my seat, it was 3-0. They scored 2 quick goals, started the second half. And you look at each other going, we might as well just sing, and then we go out and get drunk afterwards. We ended up coming back, and very late on, we scored. Chicharito got a header, and he scored. And someone freezing that day, it'd been snowing. Someone grabbed my woolly hat and threw it. And I didn't care. It went over the front. I was like, I didn't care. We won. And then we all calmed down, started singing again. And then this was just my favorite experience at Stamford Bridge. My hat just flew back up. And it landed quite close to me. I got my hat back. So I was buzzing. It was a great day. I just see my hat. I was like, that's my hat. Yeah, it was great. I love
the bridge. You know what? The bridge, like Stamford, on Champions League nights, it is very good, to be fair. You know, when you have like late fixtures in there as well, it's very good. Like I remember when we played you lot last year, Terry, when we beat you 4-3, it was popping off at the bridge, bro. When we played Man City at the bridge, it was popping off. When we played Arsenal at the bridge, it was popping off. So you do get it here and there, innit? But overall, many teams face this, even the Emirates, bro. Yeah, the Emirates, I know they've got black t-shirts and drums now, like I keep telling you guys. But overall, the atmosphere is still not all that. Like there's not that many grounds that have a lit atmosphere every single week.
Yeah, I feel that success creates that. It's almost, and quality football. It's almost. I when I first started going to Old Trafford, when I moved to Manchester in like 2004. I went a few times as a younger man, but obviously being a kid and living in London, it was very hard to get to Manchester regularly. I went to quite a few away games. But when I started going regularly, I was up for it, and it was great. But I was sitting on the opposite side, the north stand, opposite the Stretford end. And there's a lot of family there and a lot of like older people. And the atmosphere, I wanted to sing and shout, and I couldn't get there. It took me years to get a season ticket in the Stretford end. Mm-hmm. And when I moved to the Stretford end, it was amazing. My little brother, who's an Orient fan, always used to go, Old Trafford, rubbish atmosphere. One day, my mate was meant to come with me, pulled out. And I said, look, brother, I've got my spare season ticket. Do you want to come with me? He jumped in the motor. We went up and watched it. And I remember looking at his face. He was only about 16 at the time. And he was like, sitting in Stretford End. He goes, he was touching the railings and he goes, oh my God, they're vibrating through the noise, everyone jumping around and singing. I said, yeah, it's not like it sounds on TV. But because the stadium's so big, it really does depend on whereabouts in the stadium that you're sitting. So if you sit in the Stretford End and people go, oh, it's a terrible atmosphere there today, you'll look at everyone and go, you're mad. It was amazing. You go down the opposite end and you could hear it. And that's why they created the singing section. So so there was a big bit on the north, that end by the scoreboard and the Stretford end. And that way, both ends making noise. But it is difficult.
Yeah, that's similar. Like
you're never going to get, you're never going to get 75,000 Man United fans who sing like the away fans do. If we did, it'd be hard to lose a game if you actually had 75,000 people with that much noise. But yeah, it's very
difficult. At the bridge, you're right when you say that, because at the bridge, it's usually like the Matthew Harding stand that tends to be quite loud and that. But away games, bro, I love going away games, man. They're the best, honestly. But away games, we don't stop singing, man. We don't stop singing. I remember I went to Anfield away, right? Let me tell you something about Anfield as well. That place is a fucking myth, yeah, when it comes to their noise and that. Atmosphere. Yeah? Most of the time, they were just sitting down, and the only time they stood up to make any noise was when they were seeing counterattacks, right? We outsang them guys. I remember that was Mudrik's debut, in fact. Yeah, I was like, because I always hear like, oh yeah, Anfield's overrated, and I'm like, okay, cool, let me go see it for myself. I actually saw it for myself, Terry. It's a bit quiet over there, man. I can't lie.
No, look, Anfield on certain nights is amazing. I think as a United fan, I've always been a bit bitter when I hear the media always, oh, it's the best atmosphere. Again, I've only been there for Man United Liverpool games, so the atmosphere is amazing. Yeah. But then I've sort of watched through the television and seen like you can hear a pin drop in other games, and I think, well, the one ground in England that I've never seen not rocking, either on TV or in person, is Stoke City. That place was mental every single game. And then, again, it died off a little bit towards the end of Mike Ashley's time, but Newcastle Stadium, that is always. But what helps Newcastle, and I don't know what the rulings are on this, but it's the only stadium in England where the away fans are stuck in the rooftop, and it makes it so you basically everything around the pitch, all you hear is Geordies when they're in a good mood, because the away fans are so high up, and they do that in a lot of the Spanish grounds I've been to. United did it a few times where we stuck the away fans right up high behind us. And again, as a United fan, I preferred it because you couldn't hear anybody then. But I think having the away fans close to the pitch, I think that makes the atmosphere
to be honest, you are going to a place this weekend. Perfect segue into Selhurst Park. You know, you're going to a place, tight ground. You know, last year where you had Casemiro sliding on the floor like it's a fucking Nike advert. You know, battered over there, Terry. You know what I'm trying to say? So how are you lot feeling about this weekend? Staffy, chat to me, man. How are you lot feeling about Palace this weekend? I see these lot were jumping. Terry's popping bottles now over battering Barnsley. League One Barnsley. That's Terry true. Popping bottles and doing up emergency streams, man.
Fake news. I popped a bottle of champagne after we beat Southampton.
Oh, actually, yeah. Southampton. That's it, exactly. That's another team. Yeah, let's get it right. Bottom of the league, Southampton. Bottom of the league, Southampton and Barnsley has given the boys a little bit of confidence. So, Staffy, chat to me, man. How you feeling? How you going to get on that?
And Staffy, can you start with an apology and a thank you to me for predicting that you would score 3 goals last weekend? Ten Hag, he's unlocked his team. 3 scoring. Man United is back. It's back, baby. I told you.
First of all, I don't owe anyone no apologies. You know, you need to focus on your games, because every time I wake up, it's Lawless just telling me how he's Nostradamus on the day. He's predicting this, he's predicting that. Yet you never get your West Ham predictions right. So worry about your own predictions, and then we'll worry about other predictions. Okay?
3 though. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. And what does that mean? Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see all of it, but at the end of the day,
did you watch the first 30 minutes?
I did watch it. Yeah. Okay, but at the end of the day, when we had that conversation, you said we don't score 3 goals. We don't score more than 2. We can't score more than 2.
We don't, and that's a fact. So the fact that we scored it, there's a reason why Terry popped the champagne, because we don't do that a lot. You know, so for it to happen, I'm not saying it's impossible to happen. I'm just saying we don't usually do that. There's a better chance of us conceding 3 goals than
the Barnsley thing, banging them goals there. Maybe the tide has turned. We found the
no. I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not saying the tide has turned because we beat Barnsley, bro. I'm not gonna do this. We're talking about the next game. What am I being asked here? Because I feel like you guys are trying to bait me.
I'm asking you how you're feeling about this weekend. You've got Selhurst Park. You lost there. You got battered there. You got battered there last week. Your team's a little bit confident right now. So how are you feeling, bro?
listen, we don't usually travel there well. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the record is in the last few years. I just always remember that we struggled there. Like on the back of my head, like that. I remember that Elise free kick like 2 seasons ago. I remember obviously the 4-0 last season. Listen, this game, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's so big for Ten Hag because this is the game he almost got sacked for. And it was stated, it was actually real. Like, this is not me saying he deserves to get sacked. Ineos sat there and they made a decision to sack him after that game, and they held off on their decision for whatever reason. It is proof. It's proven. They already said that. He cannot afford to go back to Selhurst Park and get fucking bopped up the pitch again. He just generally can't. 4-0 last season. Listen, we've had a lot of embarrassing results in the last few years. That Palace one was up there. It was really up there because I watched my team for 90 minutes and I swear I've never seen my team. No, I can't say I've never seen my team, but it was one of the few times where I'm just sitting there. I'm thinking we're absolutely hopeless. There was nothing we could have done that game. And it didn't even happen to a Liverpool or a City. It happened to a Crystal Palace team. Glasner, who was there for only 2 months, absolutely outcoached him on the day. And we'll remember what Casemiro did. These were one of the days that where I was like, bro, Casemiro's just horrible all around. Like this I can't find any position for him on the pitch. But anyways, listen, regardless of what we just said about the goals that we scored in the last 2 games, at the end of the day, Lawless is right. It's 10 goals in 2 games. Whether you rate the opposition or not, that's different. But it's 10 goals in 2 games, 2 clean sheets. Ten Hag, you have to go into this game and number one, prove that these. I don't want to call it a run yet because it's only two games, but you want to prove that this is not a fluke, that you're actually improving. And what better way to do that than to beat a team that absolutely battered you last season and they're actually gotten weakened this season because they don't have Anderson, they don't have Elise. Who else did they sell?
Bro, they've got Kamada. I was saying the other day to D, big up D, yeah. The Kamada is meaty, bro. Meaty.
They're not looking as good. So this is his revenge game. This is his revenge game to go. Ten Hag has to go back to that pitch, that ground, and actually get a result. Just to show that what he's doing this season is not a fluke, and just to show that he learned from last season. Because we are going to this game with a better squad than we did last season. De Ligt is on decent form. Martinez looked good last game. Our fullbacks are our best strength right now because they're very good on and off the ball right now. You know, the attack is clicking. We scored, as I said, 10 goals in 2 games. Rashford's back on the score sheet. Garnacho on the score sheet. Everyone, Xerxes clicking up front, even though he needs a goal probably because he should have scored against what's the name, Southampton. But the whole team, you can just look at the last 2 games. We're like, all right, even though the opposition wasn't that tough, even though beating Barnsley should be regular, you need to go into this game and replicate that. We're not going to win 7-0 again all season. Let's just be honest. You're not going to win 7-0 again for a couple seasons. Like, God knows when. The last time we won something crazy like this was against Southampton 9-0 in lockdown. So these results are unprecedented. But you're taking the results and you're taking the confidence. We're going to be playing better opposition than Barnsley, but it doesn't mean that all these players that were on the score sheet are now not a little bit more confident. Because even Rashford, you can look at, he didn't want to celebrate at first. He's like, yeah, listen, I got to be a little bit more shameful here, you know, like I'm not going to celebrate away. But then slowly you're seeing like, all right, I'm getting back to it. That's 3 goals right now. He's smiling a little bit more. You can tell that's filling him with confidence. It's reminding him, hey, listen, I can actually play ball at the end of the day. Because it looked like last season he forgot how to play football, you know? So some of these players are carrying some confidence going into this game. They shouldn't make too much out of it because one of the few times that Ten Hag actually comes out and speaks facts, he said that he's not going to get carried away with the result, which is true. He usually says outlandish shit, but it's one of the few times where I'm like, all right, I like that. Now keep your head down and continue to work. But he can't. I'm looking at it at a tactical level. You cannot get outclassed by Glasner again. You absolutely can't. You cannot lose again, let alone get battered again in the same ground. So he has a lot to prove. And I see, listen, this Yeladin always sits here in the chat, and this guy's absolutely obsessed with me. If I could put a restraining order on someone on YouTube, it would be him. He's saying, stop talking about last season. I only have a sample size of 4 games this season, so excuse me if I'm referencing relevant games to who we're about to face this season from last season. You know, I'm just saying he needs to go back to that pitch and actually earn his money now. He cannot go back to back and remind Ineos, remember that game that I got battered and you almost sacked me for? Yeah, I learned nothing from it because I just lost again. Because it absolutely undoes what we just did in the last 2 games anyways. So he has a lot to prove.
Do you know what? The Barnsley game, scoring 7 goals is no mean feat. Beating teams of Barnsley's level in the League Cup is normal for the top Premier League teams. But scoring 7 goals is still very good because all of our teams, most seasons, play a League One or a League Two team at least once in the cup competitions. And we're rarely putting that many goals past them. So I think there are positives to take from it without getting carried away. I agree with everything Staffy has said about there needs to be a marked improvement on performance in this game. And the reason why there has to be is we did start the last game with Wan-Bissaka, who's technically deficient at left back, and a centre-back pairing of Casemiro and Johnny Evans. So as much as, and by the way, with a double pivot in front of a still inexperienced Mainu and Eriksson. So for me, so yeah, exactly. So as much as the manager takes a huge amount of accountability for that, do I think if Ugarte starts the game with Delic and Delic, Mazwari and Martinez in the defense with a more experienced Mainu, with an informed Rashford and an informed Ahmad on either wing, there is no room to have a performance like last year. It has to be a marked improvement. Mm-hmm. We have to be demanding to win this game. We want to be a team that gets back into the Champions League. We want to be a team that progresses. So I expect that. There's also good positive news, like Rasmus is back to full training, and I know he's not everybody's favorite, but I feel like we've created far more opportunities so far this season, clear-cut opportunities per game than we did last season. Xerxes' hold-up play has been very good, but his conversion so far has been poor, and that needs to be questioned. I am excited, though, with the way we're kind of pressing and operating to see what we look like with Rasmus back in the team. Now, he won't start. He'll be coming on from the bench. But again, that gives us an actual number 9 option from the bench now, as opposed to it being a wide player. So, look, I go into the game. I'm not overly confident thinking, yeah, walk in the park, this is easy. But I still look at their team versus us, and I still think we should be winning the game. So I'm not going to sit here and come with a different energy for Man United than I do for Chelsea earlier. We should go into this game. We are with the bookmakers. We should go into it believing we can win, pushing to win, and being disappointed with anything other than a win from this. Ideally, what I want is a win and another marked improvement on performance, because the last 2 games have been good, but it's Southampton and it is Burnley. You do it away against Crystal Palace, win Europa League game, and then play well and beat Spurs, suddenly you're putting together a very small body of work where you can start to see improvements. That improvement grows confidence in the team, and that's how you start. That's how you really start to progress as a football team. Now, everyone knows my stance on Ten Hag, but that doesn't mean I want to be right about it. I want him to turn it round, and I want him to be successful because it means Man United is successful. My own personal beliefs as to whether he's good enough or not are secondary to my want for my football club. So, look, this is a tough game for United. It's going to be a ferocious atmosphere under the lights. There is redemption to be made for last season, but I'm going to predict us to win. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Man United victory in this game. I think we can do it. I hope that we do it, and I demand that we do it.
And that's what I was going to say. Look, listen, a lot of what you and Staffy have said, I agree with. Like, you definitely have more quality than Palace. You're going into the game with a little bit more confidence now as well, with the amount of goals that you guys are scoring. But it's just the little intangibles, Terry, right? In terms of, winning your duels, not letting the crowd get onto the players, silencing the crowd within 10, 15 minutes of the game, because Selhurst Park, like I said, is going to be rock and roll. And Eze, you cannot give Eze any space outside of the box. Yeah, because I witnessed it myself 2 weeks ago. He just wraps his foot like Olise does, and it's going to go in. Because Onana's suspect at times when it comes to situations like that, But overall, like I've said, Palace this season, we were telling Dee the other day, like he was crying, This Is London, yeah? We were telling him, like, his team has been weakened. They don't look as good as what they did last year. Anderson's a massive miss for them. Like I said, Kamada for me is meaty, and he's supposed to be the replacement for a guy that was winning them a lot of points last year. So, yeah, man, I don't see Palace winning this game. I can only see them getting something if they get into the players' heads.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. If the crowd's up and the energy in the opening 10, 15 minutes is high from Palace, and we shrink and concede a goal or two in that time, I don't think we can recover. We've got to get through the opening 10 to 15 minutes where I think Palace will put a lot of energy, a lot of press, that they'll be buoyed on by their ultras because they do have their ultras corner there. We need to get through that either by dominating the proceedings in that period or defending very stably. And the one thing I would say, barring the 3 mistakes that led to the goals against Liverpool, we're not playing the team at Liverpool's level. We haven't been conceding the clear-cut chances on goal with as much regularity this season as last year. So I would like us to dominate the opening proceedings, but I am still quite comfortable with us not having a lot of the ball as long as we defend in a really good block and a good shape and we don't allow for clear-cut chances. And then they will tire because no one can play at that level for ages. Then you start to come into... I'm comfortable with us playing that way. I prefer us to dominate from that point, but I think we've got to get through the opening 10 to 15 minutes because I think Palace will put everything they've got into that to try and take our souls, take our heart, take our mentality early. So that's what I'd like to see.
You can't. If you let them score first, you're in serious trouble, right?
I agree.
That back five, that shape that they go back into, is not easy to break down, right? With us, like we still created some good chances against them, but you're still finding your feet at the minute. And when I look at Man United, I don't see many creators away from Bruno. You know, you've got Mount back. I don't look at Mount as a creator. I don't look at Rashford as a creator. Ahmad, he's a creator, to be fair. He's been very good. He's your go-to. You should mainly be playing off the right now. Yeah, forget the left-hand side for now. Mainly go to the right and supplement Ahmad because in the box, he's dangerous. He can link up play, right? Do them little triangles in and around the box, right? He can find the players with just how he plays the ball. He caresses the pass. That's what I like in the likes of Ahmad, Sancho, Palmer. They take care of the pass. They make sure that when they're playing it into the other person, they're thinking about their first touch. Whereas other players, they just play it to them, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's what I'm looking at. Ahmad's going to be key, and the needs another good game.
Yeah, I put Xerxes into the category as creator as well. Maybe not the final ball, but again, he was awful against Liverpool. But I'm not going to use the Liverpool game as the way I judge him. He's been very good in the other matches, holding the ball up, bringing others into play, and he did it very, very well against Southampton last week. And I want to see more of that as well. So him getting that ball deep, flicking it out to the Amads, the Brunos, the Rashfords is going to be important. That's what we lacked so much last year, and a lot of our attacks broke down. So there's things that I'm looking forward to the game, to be honest with you. I mean, and that's the one thing I say about this season. I've been more excited about games this year than I was last season, which I suppose is a positive.
Staffy, what midfield do you want to see, bro?
Bro, ask Terry that question. Don't ask me that because we'll disagree on this.
Terry, what midfield do you want to see?
Because these guys are not ready for that convo, bro. I'm ready for it, but they're not.
I'm ready, Staffy. I'm ready.
Not you, Lawless. I'm talking about United fans, bro.
Tell me,
they're not ready for this midfield situation.
I mean, go on. What do you want the midfield to be then?
I mean, listen, the someone that probably shouldn't be playing in the midfield anymore. Probably the only way to fit him in this team is if he plays in the front line. But people are not ready to have this conversation. People think that Ugarte could just come in and fill in for Casemiro. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, the only way for us to actually maintain a little bit more stability in that midfield is probably by having Casemiro and Ugarte together. But what does that do to Bruno? That's what I'm saying. Some of these people they're not ready to have that conversation.
What, you want to see Manu in the 10?
That's probably our best option. I'm not gonna lie, but listen, some of these people sit there and they just talk about numbers. Thankfully, I have eyes and I watch games with my eyes. I don't just watch the stat sheet at the end of the day. You know, I'm just saying, bro. Listen, there's a certain man. Every time he plays in that midfield, our midfield looks open, and when he doesn't play in the midfield, our midfield looks a little bit more compact. You know, but they're not ready to have this convo, bro.
So you would drop Bruno for this game if it was up to you?
It's not that I would drop him. I just don't think he fits in the midfield. If you want to have a half decent midfield that doesn't get ran over, unfortunately, you cannot have him in that midfield.
Yeah, when Palace played
the option that we have,
they played Will Hughes. In midfield, they played Will Hughes. They played Walton, and then they played. Eze played on the left. Who did they play? What did they play in that midfield?
So it's not necessarily about the opposition. I get what you're doing. Like you're talking about this midfield.
Yeah,
Palace is not a team that's gonna run through the midfield a lot. Anyways,
I'm not against Staffy's idea because I'm about Man United improving. I would like to just try that. I think this is too soon of a game to try that. I'm not sure if Ugarte is ready for 90 minutes yet in the Premier League. but I would still start him in this game. I would start him and I would start Mainu with Bruno ahead. But I'm not against the idea. I think that Ugate's got to get up to speed with the Premier League first, and then I think that could work. I actually think I was thinking about Casemiro and Ugarte playing together. I think there's a number of games this season, as we're hopefully developing as a team, where that could come in handy. Because you stick them two together, I still think even at Casemiro's age, that's going to be hard for most teams to break down with those two sitting there. But then what I think you have to have ahead of them is where I agree with Staffy, is I think you need Amads and I think you need the likes of Kobe that are better in possession. Because if you're sending that ball to Garnacho, Rashford and Bruno, all three of them have got a habit of losing possession too easily. So you have to get that balance right. So again, I'm not against it. I'm never against anything that might improve Man United. I'm just not too sure if this is the game to try
Ugarte,
it.
I don't know about Ugarte and Cass pivot though. I mean, that's very. You got two destroyers basically. I know Ugarte is better at progressing a little bit, but he's not really a progressor either.
I understand that, but if we go back and just a case in point, when Liverpool were at their pomp under Klopp and were winning, they didn't have anyone in their midfield that was looked at as a great progressor. They had three workhorses, but what they had is they had fullbacks that could play football, either going down the wings or coming inside. So I look at Maswari as an example. Very, very good on the ball. Delo comes inside, very good on the ball. I don't necessarily think. Listen, I would love a deeper line midfielder that had the sort of the passing range that Michael Carrick used to have for us.
Wharton, I like Wharton, bro.
But Wharton, again, I like him. I would like that. But I think that we have enough technical ability in the squad when everybody's fit right now to counteract that. And what I'm not saying play Casemiro and Ugarte in every single game. But I think there are certain games where up against superior opposition where those two could be an absolute force. I think away from home, hopefully we're in the knockout stages of the Europa League. Most away European games are hard. You sit them two together, hard to break down, play a little bit of counter-attack football, nick a goal or two, give yourself a great advantage at home. And it's utilising the squad. It's like that question, what's your best 11? I always counter it with the question of, well, who are we playing and where? What team are we playing? Exactly. Are we home or away? I don't like this idea of having a best. We could all name Klopp's best 11 in Liverpool's pomp. And I read a stat that between when they won the Champions League and the year after winning the league, where they got to another Champions League final, so over a 3-year period, that best 11 that we all consider for Liverpool only started like 6 games together. There was always a variation or two in these matches. And if you actually go back and you could probably name Chelsea's best team in the sort of the noughties era. And you'd probably be able to name it and name all the players. But you go look at who started a lot of the games, you go, fucking hell, he weren't in this one. Them two weren't in that one. Oh, he missed that game. But your brain doesn't often work like that. So, yeah for me...
John Obi Mikel used to start a lot of games as well.
And I think Staffy said this so many times, I don't want to plagiarize his views here, but he's been so right. There is no signing this summer that's fixed us. I don't think there'll be a signing next summer that fixes us. It is a work in progress. So there are times where what we're going to have to do whilst progressing is... not put a square peg in a round hole, but be like, do you know what? We're going to have to plug that player in there until next summer or until we bought somebody else. We're going to have to do this until then. And that's the one thing I would say that there are things we've done wrong systematically, but that's why I'm not looking, when people are like, oh, Ugarte don't fix us. That's why I've not been that downbeat about it. Because for me, it's even if we signed the ball playing midfielder we really wanted, there would have been a destroyer hole in there because Casemiro ain't up to the same standards anymore. So whichever way around, we were going to have holes. I think overall we've improved our squad. We should be beating these guys this weekend as well. And that's not a disrespect to Palace. They've been excellent the last few years. Great atmosphere, loads of good technical players. But with what we pay our individuals, the money we spend on them, and the quality on paper, I think I'm right as a Man United fan to expect to win. I'm not saying we'll batter them. I'm not saying it'll be easy. But we should be going there and scoring a couple of goals and walking away with 3 points and onwards and upwards
transition
to
is
Europe.
Be very good. And this is why I'm mentioning this midfield. There's people like Yeladin that sit in this chat and they don't have a clue about football. And they just sit here and talk a lot of shit and say Mainu lost the ball 13 times. Well, when you compare Mainu losing the ball 13 times, who lost the most next to him in the league? It's Mohamed Kudus. So what do you associate with both of these? They both had the most take-ons, and that's why they lost the ball 13 times. But people like to leave context out because they don't understand the lick of football, And not once did I even mention, I didn't explain yet why I said Bruno might not be in the midfield. But then you have people like United Emotions. Your name is Emotions, and you're saying that I don't have a clue about football. So how do you know that I was referencing on the ball stuff? He's saying, oh, he's not a control. I never said I want Bruno dropped because he's not a control. I didn't even say I want him dropped. I said he needs to play up front because he's not good in the midfield, and I didn't explain why. I was trying to explain the defensive shape. Off the ball, we oftenly get ran over when he's in the midfield because he has no positional discipline. That's the only reason I mentioned that. When you're playing away against a team like Palace that will have a little bit more confidence, and the way that they play, they're playing a lot more transition, and they got threat in the midfield. Like Eze was a very good ball carrier. I need to solidify my midfield a little bit. That's the only reason I said I want Casemiro and Ugarte to play. I don't even like Casemiro that much, and people know that. But the fact that I'm saying I need him to play next to Ugarte is because I'm trying to watch out to what can happen for us in the midfield. But people don't want to hear that. People just always talk about Bruno creates. Look at the last 2 games. Eriksen to be playing for us in 2024 just shows you how bad our recruitment has been in the last few years. Because as much as I always like this player, he's way beyond his best. But what is one good thing that he's done in the last 2 games? He's actually kept the shape well. When you look at Eriksen, he's always close to his midfielders. He's always there. There's always about 10 yards between him and Mainu and whoever else. And sometimes that's all you need from your midfield. Does he throw the ball into the box the amount of times that Bruno does? Probably not. But maybe you don't even need to do that. You don't actually need to throw the ball into the box too much. Sometimes all you need to do is to make the simple pass and move it around. He's actually got a couple assists in the last couple games. That ball that he played into Garnacho last game, that's a ball that Bruno always does when he plays it in behind and one of the runners go behind. So he has that. Unfortunately, our 10 is a little bit too wasteful in away games. And when we're caught out of position, we get punished. So the manager has to figure out a way to put him in this team. When he was playing in the false 9, we were looking better because when he lost the ball, he had 3 defenders covering behind him. That is just facts. That's just how football is. When your midfield is set, you can afford to lose the ball. It doesn't matter if you lose it up front. You have someone to win the ball back. So when he goes back into the midfield, it is a worry for me. I need to know if this manager, if he's going to continue using him. Maybe we start using him up front again, because maybe he could play similar to Xerxes. He's more of a like replacement with Xerxes in that false 9, because they both like to pick up the ball and I'm sorry.
Say Bruno.
Yeah, like because Xerxes is not really a real 9. He plays more of a false 9. So I'm just concerned about our midfield shape. And I think Terry said it best, and I've said this before. We don't have a midfield 3 that we go every game, and that's my main. I don't have a 3 that can maintain every game. I don't. Mm-hmm. None of my midfielders are that good that I use them every game. You know, like I wouldn't say that individually. Sorry, I mean collectively. I don't have a very strong midfield that starts for every game. I have to play every occasion different. If I'm home and if I'm away, and if I'm playing a more possession-based team, or if I'm playing a counter-attacking team. If I'm playing a high opposition like City, Liverpool, Arsenal, or if I'm playing someone in the bottom half of the league, and that's just how it has to be my season. Mm-hmm. For the rest of the season, I have to approach the games like that. I'm looking at this Palace game. If I play a midfield of Ugarte, Mainu, and Casemiro, I'm guaranteed a good shape. I'm guaranteed decent enough passes. Ugarte, listen, he's not an amazing passer, but he does the simple things right. And you have Mainu, who people want to say, oh, he lost the ball 13 times. Well, guess what? That just proves that he's
been poor this season so far. By the way, he needs to buckle up his ideas. He's been poor. Yeah,
but well, look where he's been playing. He's been playing deeper down the pitch. He was making 10 tackles. But then he goes on international duty with England, and he has 0 tackles in one game. How can he make 10 tackles for the United game, but then go to England and he has 0 tackles made? It just shows you the position
how you're using him is showing quite a lot of his weaknesses.
Exactly, and he needs to be higher up the pitch. And listen, Casemiro needs to be higher up the pitch, because what do people like to remind me all the time when Casemiro has a decent game? Apologize to Casemiro, Staffy. Why? Oh, he had a good game, but they always fail to mention that his best games is when he's higher up the pitch. When he's not in the 6, of course, yeah. When he's not in the 6 and doing the build-up thing where he's losing the ball all the time, and he's higher up the pitch, that assist that Delo had, that assist that Delo had the Garnacho last game. Who played the ball into Delo? Terry, you remember the last kick of the game?
Yeah, that was
that ball that he played in behind is absolutely brilliant.
But no, I agree.
You're confusing me a little bit, because you're saying further up as if you'd want to see Cass in like an 8. Like
I don't want him as an 8. I've always
you want to play Cass as an 8.
Casemiro, okay, let me tell you a thing about Casemiro. He has 2 very good attributes that I always complimented him for. In the box, he's always a threat. And in the final third, he actually plays the ball into space well. So when I say into space, he's so bad at playing the ball to feet. I don't know why. If he makes eye contact with someone, he can't pass the ball to him. But if you're about to make a run, I'll play it for you in space. Just go back. I don't know if you watched the Southampton game. Go look at the ball that he played into the low. That's an absolutely amazing pass. He does that. Remember the first game of the season there where he played Bruno one-on-one with the goalkeeper and we were all shook. We were like, how did
he also did it twice in the Community Shield where he was up higher and
I think it was that game. Sorry, it was actually the Community Shield game.
That's where he's good at that. And look, with the Mainu thing, look, I'll have the same energy for him, Don, as you have for a player 5 or 6 years older than him in Enzo. You don't criticize Enzo when he's played out of position.
I do though, and I said that about Mainu. I said he's not being used correctly. That's what I said.
Yeah, Again, you will push back from anybody having an agenda against a 23, 24-year-old player who's being played out of position. I'm going to do exactly the same to a player that's only just into his second season, who in the first couple of games his campaign was played out of position. Now against the Southampton game, I would agree with you. In the opening 30 minutes, he and the rest of the team was awful. After that penalty save, he and the rest of the team were absolutely amazing. So for the vast majority of that game, he was very, very good. There's a brilliant player in there. Again, he just needs to be used correctly. Now that Ugarte is in and getting fit, let's see where he's used and he operates. But yeah, of course, you need to use these players in their best positions. Are any of you in favor of playing 3 at the back?
In the right game.
In the right game, yeah, absolutely. Belfast Bebe finally scored goals. He's found his level, it seems. Who's the Belfast Bebe?
I think is he referencing Rashford?
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Maybe Johnny Sins is saying that.
Bebe. Who's Irish?
Is it the party in Belfast? Remember?
I think it's that's why I didn't get it. That's why. To my comment about Chelsea, so Terry, are you saying that Chelsea are favourites at Old Trafford? Z, you didn't listen to what I said. I said, other than those other 3 teams I mentioned, they should be close to favourites or favourites. So close to favourites means you're evens or you're slightly off being favourites, but it's close. I don't think that is what I said. I didn't say they're favourites everywhere else. Those words did not leave my mouth. Lawless, I know you got to shoot, my man. Thank you very much, brother, for coming on, and we'll catch up with you next week, brother. Top
see
man.
you guys next week.
Hey, I'm gonna see you on Saturday.
Saturday, John.
Tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I keep forgetting it's tomorrow as well. Yeah, football's back again. Obviously a very, very big game this weekend. Manchester City hosting Arsenal. Lots of stats coming out. This one that we saw today all over Sky, breaking down the attacking stats this season for both teams. And a lot of people getting on at Arsenal that they've become too defensive. Their attack is poor. How do you two, and I'm going to go to Don first on this, how do you see this game going this weekend?
Boy, I think right now, Arsenal, listen, I don't see how they win this game, right? I just don't see it right now because I'm looking at the balance in that midfield. You know, it's makeshift. Yesterday, they played Havertz in the midfield. They played Trossard as the 10 the other day against Spurs. They weren't great in both games, right? And what won them that game is their defense and set pieces. Obviously, Arsenal fans will come and turn around and say, yeah, set pieces are part of the game. But over 90 minutes in open play, you want to be seeing something that's going to give you a little bit of confidence. You know, you want to be seeing something that's sustainable, right? I remember what I said to you 2 weeks ago, straight facts, Terry. I said, Odegaard being out, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic with Saka on that side because Arsenal, they use their right-hand side a lot. And you're already seeing 2 games in a row now. Saka against Spurs, he was poor. Saka yesterday, he was poor. He got hooked off as well. Odegaard is a big miss in this team because the way Saka plays, he likes to pop it off Odegaard. Yeah, them little passes he gets in between the lines to create for the likes of Havertz and that. He gets them from Odegaard, right? All the little combinations on that hand side are gone. And for me, if I'm Arteta, I'll be looking to use Nwaneri now because Nwaneri is actually a player that I believe can actually replicate what Odegaard does. Because on the ball, he's clean, bro. Yeah, good ability on the ball. He's young, yes. But what's the point of selling Smith Rowe and selling Vieira if you're not going to give this guy a chance, right? There's got to be a time where you chuck him in there. Sometimes you got to chuck them in there, Terry. Yeah, I remember against when we played Arsenal when they played us at the Bridge and Willian. I remember that game. Willian was ill. He wasn't meant. Smith Rowe wasn't meant to start the game. Smith Rowe got chucked in and he scored. After that, he kept starting games for them. You know. But right now, when I'm looking at them, that certain players, they can play in that position. Like I keep saying to you, Declan Rice, he's been poor this season. You know, Partey, his legs are looking tired. I just look at that team right now, and they're lacking a lot of balance in the midfield. In the attack, Martinelli is stinking out the place. He's been stinking out the place for nearly 2 years now. You know, Havertz again up top has been okay for them. He's been doing better than what we were seeing at Chelsea consistently. But right now, the main thing that's saving Arsenal is their defense. And Man City are in very good form right now. Yeah, and usually at the start of the season, we normally say Man City takes a few weeks to get into the swing of things. Bro, everything Haaland's touching right now, Terry, is going in. You know, everything they're touching is going in. And it's not going to be easy because he's up against Saliba and Gabriel, for me, the best pairing in the league. But again, over 90 minutes against the Man City, there's only so long you can hold on for, bro, defensively. There's only so long.
I get that. Looking at their Premier League attacking stats, when you look at these over the first 4 games, we can all agree it is not the best reading, expected goals, shots on target, etc. Can we, though, factor into this that 2 of those games have been away from home against difficult opposition for Arsenal? A derby, which is often a leveler with a lot of players missing. And they went away to Villa, who last season at Villa Stadium especially, and they've started this season brilliantly too, have a very, very good home record. Is it almost a little bit disingenuous at this stage of the season to be focusing too hard on them stats based on, for instance, if we just spoke about Man United in the last 2 games scoring 10 goals. If we compare that to Man City's last 2 games, our attacking stats look a lot better. But what you would say is, yeah, but look at the difference in teams you've played. Should we not be applying that logic to Arsenal stats and giving it a bit more time before we're almost writing off their attack? Or do you believe that, no, those stats show a true reflection of the problems that are at the club?
Let me answer this one.
Hold on, Staffy, before you come in, just one last thing before you come in, bro, yeah? For me, it is a true reflection, Terry, because even last season, I was telling you, Arsenal were winning games, but I wasn't convinced with what they were doing. In their attack, like, Saka's performances were bad, but he was still putting up numbers last year. It's only when they came back from Dubai, really, where they started to perform a little bit better and started to bag a lot more goals. Remember, they battered Sheffield, they battered West Ham, right, in the second half of the season, you know? So it's a recurring thing right now for Arsenal. In attack, they've been poor individually. You know, I don't look at it and think, oh, they've had tough opposition. You can't be speaking out of 2 mouths. They talk about their team now as if they're fucking Real Madrid. And now you're saying, oh, yeah, but we've had tough away games. You know, this is a squad that you've got. Yeah. And I told my boy yesterday this as well. You have a squad of 22 players who have injury-prone players in there. Yeah. Some of them are saying, yeah, we've got to have everyone fit. Arsenal this season, for me, aren't going to have a fully fit team. Because if Zinchenko's not injured, it will be Jesus. If it's not Jesus, it will be Califuori. If it's not Califuori, it will be Tomiyasu. Yeah, they have players in that team that are injury prone. So I don't look at Arsenal and think they're gonna have a fully fit team. Last year was very, very lucky, very, very lucky. And if they lose Saka for an extended period of time, it's gonna be top 4 settings for these man. It's gonna be top 4 settings for these man. But come in, Staffy, bro.
See, you just made it more complicated for me to come in now. Here's the thing. What Terry said earlier, I didn't agree with because I feel like it's more by design. I don't think it's more about the oppositions by design because Spurs and Atalanta are completely different oppositions, yet the approach of the games were very similar. And that just shows you. And what was it, yesterday? Yeah, the game was yesterday. I gave you a match reaction yesterday where I was explaining how they've become way too defensive for my liking. I said they became a little bit too defensive without paying attention to that midfield, and that front line doesn't have enough creation. You know, and I compared it to City. I said City can afford to have the whole 4 center back thing because they have anomalies in the midfield that create at an insane rate, aka obviously Kevin De Bruyne and them. So it's more by design, and this is why when I'm looking at the opposition, I feel like until Odegaard comes back, which, let's be honest, the stats that you showed us, Terry, it's not impacted by one player. I was seeing the difference between the if you put up the stat again, look at the entry into the final third. City's at 600 something. Yeah, look, 800 something. Look, final third passes 875, and you have Arsenal on 314. That's a $500 dollar. That's a $500 variance. I don't know why I thought of money right away, but anyways, look at the variance. The variance is insane there. 500 different passes, and that's not fixed by one player. So I feel like it's more by design. But yet again, I don't know if this is going to be fixed this season. I think they're going to I don't know if they're going to become a top 4 contender like Don is saying. He likes to take premature
No. I'm saying if they lose Bukayo Saka, yeah, because well, as much as I think Saka it can improve his game in terms of being more direct in that, yeah, he puts up a lot of numbers. He puts up their most numbers. If they lose him,
they can't rely.
They brought on Sterling yesterday. I'm sorry, they brought on Sterling yesterday. You got fucking Ben White holding the ball like this, not even trusting him to play him a simple pass. He's looking at him, and Sterling got to. I looked at Sterling's face. He even started laughing to say, "What, you're doing this to me, bro? Yeah, you're doing this to me." And I'm showing
he had to run back.
When players do that from a throw-in, yeah, that means they don't trust your ability on the ball, bruv. Yeah, Sterling is grenade football, and yesterday he was grenade football again. Yes, he created a chance for Martinelli, but in the game when he came on, he wasn't great, right? That's the sort of player you're dependent on if they lose out on Bukayo Saka, yeah. And that's why I kept telling you, Terry, if Chelsea will not challenge if we're missing our main players, it's the same thing as Arsenal, bro. If Saka somehow goes down, Saliba and that go down, they will not challenge. We'll be back to top 4 settings for these men.
Do you think if Haaland, Rodri, and KDB went out for the whole season, that City would still be as formidable as they are?
Yeah, but bro, we've had evidence now of Pep managing to actually find solutions and find a way.
So right? we've got evidence of, say, KDB missing a whole season, but they still had loads of stars. If you took, you just mentioned Arsenal's 3 best players. If you took City's 3 best players out, do you believe for the season? But I think that's what, again, I don't disagree with a lot of what you've said, but I do agree. If Arsenal lose Saliba, Odegaard, Rice, and Saka for a long period of time, they're not going to win the league. But I don't think any top team in the world that's in a title race based on what we think about their team, if you took Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Bellingham, and
I get the point that you're making, but let's say they kept Saliba in there because their defense is good, yeah. I don't think their defense is going to be enough to go and win them the league without Saka, for example. They need Saka to stay fit for majority of the season to go and win the league or to at least compete until the final. But then
that's a given, bro. This is where you lose me because that's a given anyways. Because he's one of the best players. It doesn't really tell me much.
But bro, that's my point though. I have to make it. These things are obvious. What I'm saying, yes, but a lot of Arsenal fans feel like their squad is this amazing squad where it's like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter who comes in, we're still gonna win games. We're still gonna win the same way.
I don't know a lot of Arsenal fans that say that because you stating when their best players are out, they're not gonna be as good. Of course, I agree with you.
Trust me, I know a lot of Arsenal fans that feel like this, that think like this, bruv. Trust me.
The thing like what?
I don't know. Maybe you interact with more of them.
I don't. Look, I just think it's. Sorry to interject. I mean, you get comments like this. Terry, KDB, and Haaland missed half of last season. Haaland played 31 league games last year. Why are you lying that he only played 16, 17? This is the problem when it comes to the conversations. They become so disingenuous, and it frustrates me. So people say, "Why are you defending Arsenal?" It's not about defending Arsenal. It's about being honest. It's about being honest. I absolutely agree that Arsenal's attack has to improve. I absolutely agree that Martinelli is in awful form. I think he should be dropped. I think Trossard should be starting this game. There's something wrong with Martinelli right now. Whether it's people thinking that he's sort of like aged out or whether it's that he's in bad form and overthinking is a debate. But what isn't an argument is that he's poor right now. And there's criticism that goes into that. I agree that Declan Rice hasn't found his optimum level so far this season. But people are acting like, oh, well, last year was amazing. Last 2 years before that at West Ham, he was amazing. He's going through a little bit of a tough period. But his poor period is still better than most midfielders in the Premier League. The problem I have with the Arsenal conversation is that it reminds me of the beginning of last season. They started quite slowly in terms of their football wasn't fast-paced. They weren't smashing teams up. And my view then was, well, I think they're doing enough to win games. Second half of the season, I think you're going to see them up their levels. It's about tapering yourself. And even when you look at City are winning games. They've scored 11 goals, but 9 of them are by Haaland. If Haaland was to not be available right now, the rest of their players are really struggling to hit the back of the net. Now, that isn't something to worry about per se for Man City because Haaland is fit and Haaland's in the form of his life. Everything he hits at the moment is going in. But that isn't sustainable. I'll tell you why. He's tracking towards scoring 152 goals this year with the rate he started on. We all know that ain't going to be maintained, right? But what we also know is that other players are going to step up. I think the criticism of Arsenal is fair. I think what some people are doing, though, is it's now going into the 3rd or 4th year of this of, I've always said I didn't think they were that good. Now's the time where I'm going to be proven right and they're going to kind of fall off.
No. That's when people are being disingenuous.
But let me finish though. Let me finish. I think there are some people that 3 or 4 years running have written them off. And when they go through these little patches, they don't look quite good. I knew this was going to be the leveling out moment.
Yeah.
This is when they're going to fall off. I'm not saying they can't fall off. I'm stating that I don't think there is enough evidence now. And the one thing I'd say is this: defensively, they are so strong and so robust, and they look very hard to beat. They look almost unbeatable. They're almost invincible from a defensive side of things right now.
Teams are still getting chances against them, though, Terry. You said this like what?
Hang on, though. So again, this is where I challenge you personally. When it comes to the Bournemouth game, Bournemouth had loads of opportunities against you where they broke your lines and they got into good positions, but their shot was poor or their final ball was poor. And you're like, you disregarded that as a problem because, what chances did they create? When I think back to the last couple of games, in the opening 10 minutes, there was a couple of half chances for Tottenham. After that, nothing.
Yep, I agree.
Yesterday with Atalanta, there was 2 good shots from Cuadrado in the second half, and there was the penalty. Outside of that, there wasn't any gilt-edged chances along that line. Brighton, it was only when they went down to 10 men. Up until that point, Brighton normally cut through everybody. They weren't getting a sniff as an example. Second, when they played...
Wait, when they scored that goal, when they scored that goal, I swear Rice was on the pitch at that point when they scored that goal.
No. It was one. Yeah, it was one on off. Against Wolves, they dominated, went 2-0 up, and then they sat back and absorbed and countered. And when they were absorbing, they were obviously leaking some opportunities. But the point is, we haven't been watching these games and seeing Arsenal's goal against Aston Villa. They did create a couple of good chances and some brilliant saves. They could have conceded in that game. But let's not pretend like Villa are not a very good football team they're away from home from. But I think when you look at the evidence of the opening 5 or 6 games, defensively, they look amazing. And even City at their pomp, Liverpool at their pomp in the last 5, 6, 7 years, concede goals and concede opportunities. You've got Chelsea have the record for the greatest defense in Premier League history over the course of a season. But you still conceded chances in those games because Petr Cech's then saved you. I just think that there is certain criticism of Arsenal that needs to happen in the attack. But the way people are, it's just their defense, playing it down, like, hang on. When you think of the greatest City teams, the greatest Man United teams, the greatest Chelsea teams, they are famed for how hard they were to beat. Arsenal was suddenly hard to beat. They're more pragmatic. They're being sensible in games. And I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize the bad bits, but that's being disregarded like it's a nothing. And that don't sit right with me as a football fan.
No, I've already said, Terry. I've already said, for me, Haaland's not going to have an easy game. He's not going to have an easy game against Saliba and Gabriel. And in this game, he's going to be going in there with a point to prove, because everyone's kind of looking at that and saying what we're saying basically at the minute. No one can try to tell me Arsenal haven't got a good defense, because like I've said, that is what is keeping them in games at the minute. And that is what, for me, is winning them points at the minute, because their attack isn't firing, right? But there's 2 sides of the game. You've got to be able to defend and you've got to be able to attack. And right now, a big part of the game, they're not doing it well, bro. That's the point.
So I'm not going to disagree with that point. I've said that. All I'm calling out is the punditry around Arsenal, where the brilliant defense and the lack of goals being conceded is, in my opinion, is being pushed aside. The same, by the way, as the toxic positive Arsenal fans who are brushing aside like not scoring enough goals at the moment is also a minor. I think that's wrong. I just think balance needs to be applied to this situation personally. Equally, I think that they've done enough in the last couple of years, Arsenal, where they've gone through bad periods of maybe not being the best goal scorers before we start writing them off. We all know they can attack, but you've got to remember their away record in 2024. Someone actually put it in here, actually. 10 games played, 9 wins and 1 draw. I just can't right now. Maybe my mind will change in a few weeks. I can't suddenly start writing off a team's chances when that's your away record in the calendar year, because that is phenomenal. And they've only conceded 3 goals in that time as well. So, look, I sort of feel that, as I say, some of the... in terms of, you mentioned Haaland, how do you see that battle going at the weekend, Staffy?
He's going to get shut down. I've no issue making this prediction now. He's going to get shut down.
So if he's shut down and he's the only guy scoring at City, who comes out in top in this battle? How does the game end, in your opinion?
I actually think this game ends 0-0. So that's the reason I'm saying that. I don't see Arsenal scoring goals at the moment. I think they need to change something. And I usually have a lot to say, but for this one, I don't know what Arteta needs to do to fix this, because I don't rate some of the players individually in that front line. I do rate their defense a lot. And I think I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. I have no issue saying this Arsenal back line is probably the best one in Europe. So if anyone's gonna shut down Haaland, it's them. I think Saliba and Gabriel game after game have proven they can eat Haaland alive. So I think they're gonna shut him down. When's the game? Is it tomorrow or Sunday? I think it's Sunday. They're gonna shut him down. However, my issue is, and this is why I wanted to chime in a little bit earlier, I just don't see where Arsenal's goals come from. And I feel like if they were creating chances but missing them, I don't think people would have kept the same energy. I think the reason people are giving Arsenal some shit right now is because they've generally become boring. I'm seeing Arsenal fans right now having a meltdown on Twitter and saying we used to be this, we used to be that, and they're showing like Arsene Wenger clips, which is, by the way, is absolutely insane because back in the day, they used to brag about the fact that they play quote-unquote champagne football while we used to play ugly football under Sir Alex, but we won the most trophies and they didn't. But now the roles are reversed. They're trying to win trophies ugly, and they're okay with it. But anyways, I think if they had a decent front line and they were creating chances, I don't think this would have been the reaction. The issue is you watch them, and generally Arsenal games are boring now. They're not entertaining to watch. And I know it's easier for me to say because I'm an outsider. If we were Arsenal fans, probably would have had a little bit more emotion and we'd see it a little bit less ugly. But their games are starting to turn a little bit ugly. They're becoming boring. You're not seeing any patterns. You don't see individual brilliance up front. Even when the system is not working, I don't see a player who could pop up with an individual moment. Maybe Saka is the only one that every here and there he'll have his trademark hit from outside the box where he cuts to his left. He'll hit one from outside the box and he can do that. Outside of that, I don't see moments being created in this team. So it's just like I feel like they're going to struggle with this and I don't know what the fix is going to be. But back to what your question originally was, I think they're going to keep Haaland quiet. Listen, Haaland's been absolutely brilliant. 9 goals from what? His team has 11 and he has 9 of them. It's just like insane. He's scoring at an insane rate. But if there is a backline that can shut him down, it's them two. Because they can match him physically. They can match his position. There's so much they could do to just prevent the ball to go to him. It's like from the games that I've watched, Haaland versus Arsenal in the last, 2 or 3, it's not like that he misses chances. They are so good at starving Haaland. Like he generally just doesn't even get in the same scoring positions that he does against regular teams. And that's how good this backline is. And to be fair, when you invest so much money in a backline like that and a DM like Rice, that's the least I should expect for you. Because they are all, at the end of the day, they can match him in one thing at least, which is athleticism. They're all monsters. Between Rice and the center backs behind him, they're all absolute physical monsters. So I think they're going to struggle. And I actually want to make this prediction from right now. I think this game is going to be way too boring. I don't think it's going to be a good game at all. I think we're all going to go into this game. We're going to be hyped up. Don Robbie's going to walk outside the stadium and give his motivational speech again. And bro, this I'm telling you, this game is going to be an absolute stinker.
Do you know what's really funny?
We need City to fucking score first, bro. We need City to score first. So
what we need? Like,
yeah?
Why do we need that?
Listen, we do, because I'm not trying to sit there and not get 2 hours back of my life, bro. Yeah, that's how I felt like yesterday. Yeah.
Do you know
we need Man City to score first, so these man can come out to try play, bro.
Do you know what? If City score first, that's still a 1-0. I don't see. Do you
know what's really interesting though? I actually quite like those. Do you know Man United and Chelsea played loads of these games?
Yep.
In the Pom period where they were quite boring, I suppose, for neutrals. But it was just two brilliant teams cancelling each other out and not taking too many risks. But there's something about that I've always quite enjoyed. Maybe that's why I like Italian football. There's just something about it I quite enjoy. I enjoy the chess match and then the kind of jeopardy. The only time in the game I don't like it is when sometimes you get to the last 10 minutes and you can clearly see both teams have gone, we're not taking a risk anymore. I quite like it where there's always that risk of a late goal. But yeah, I think, listen, I'm actually predicting a City win. I think City will nick this 1-0. I actually think that I'd like Arsenal to win it. And the reason I said I'd like Arsenal to win it is, listen, let's be honest, 5p is bad news for Man United fans. We don't have the ability to stop them. So I've got a hope.
Bro, he can have it if he's going to leave, bro. I'm not going to lie. If
no,
I 5p to leave, bro, just take it and leave, bro.
I do get you
one more time, but just leave.
I get your point, but where I disagree with your point is, again, they've already done the 4p, which I don't think anybody is going to equal. And the one thing for me, and this is just my belief about football, your records are important. The records are what we're fighting for. When we sit there in the spaces or on shows debating whose club's the biggest and the best, it's trophies and the records surrounding them we all talk about invariably, right? So for me, that's why I've always been so confused about anyone whose team is successful. So top 6, top 7, top 8 teams being more on happier that City won it over Arsenal. I kind of get bragging rights and I get dealing with people online. But for me, it was always the case. It wouldn't matter, by the way, if it was Burnley that were about to win 4 or 5 league titles on the bounce. I'd rather Liverpool win the league over them than them set a record that I don't know if my club could ever attain. So I want Arsenal to win. However, I think it's going to be a cagey and close game, but I think City are just going to nick it. I think they're just going to nick it. I hope that I'm wrong, but I've got to be honest, as I always am. I think City are going to win 1-0. I think City will nick it 1-0.
We'll see, because I think Rodri's going to start this game. And he's pretty much hasn't been playing. When did he come back into this team? A week ago? Something like that. So I think he's going to start. You know what's one matchup I'm looking forward to, though? Savio versus, what's his name? Timber. Yeah, that's going to be a good matchup. Because
Timber wasn't great yesterday, to be honest. He was good against Spurs, but yesterday, maybe more than one game right now ain't good enough for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he just came back.
You know what? It might be too much defending in 1 week. Because they defended a lot versus Spurs. Obviously, they played yesterday, and now they're going to defend a lot versus City. And I'm not going to lie, they're not used to defending a lot. They're a very good backline, but a part of them being a very good backline is that they actually don't concede a lot of chances. Can
I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. If Arsenal become boring, but win a Champions League, if Arsenal become boring and win a Premier League, where do we go from there?
Who cares? Look at Don himself. How many trophies did you win playing boring football?
With Mourinho.
Yeah, no one cares about that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But end of the day, like I've said, yes, defensively they're good. Yes, we know that. But there's more to the game than that, bro. They need to give their fans, right, belief and confidence going into games. Because right now you're watching their performances. Like the other day, Deji was saying the same thing, right? Big up Deji, and I actually agreed with him. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Deji about. But this, what he said, I actually agreed with. Yeah, that performance against Spurs wasn't one to take a lot of confidence from, right? In terms of how they played overall. I didn't learn anything new from Arsenal because I know Arsenal are good on set pieces. If they beat Man City or they get points from Man City from a set piece, I'm not learning anything new. But if I'm seeing them during the 90 minutes, Saka's shit again, Martinelli shit again, Havertz is meaty, Trossard is a mess in midfield, then I'm like looking at him thinking, yo, this is going to catch up with you. You know what I'm saying?
But it wasn't a day, I'm not gonna lie, Don. That wasn't a day they learned something new. That was a day where you're going in and you have a lot of players out. It's a big game. It's a big occasion. You're away from home. It's your local rivals. All you want to go and do is take the points and leave. When I play Liverpool, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to learn anything on the day outside of me picking up 3 points and leaving.
That performance has carried on.
There's that.
No, of course. If you want to say it in that way, I agree with you.
Yeah, Don, I understand your point.
I didn't care.
Where I disagree with you though, Don, is if I think back to Man United under Ollie, we won a lot of games that we shouldn't have done. Last season, we won quite a few games that we shouldn't have done, being peppered, ripped apart. How do we? Wolves, first game of the season is a prime example. The only thing I disagree with you on, I understand how you okay, the attack weren't great and this didn't look good. But in a lot of the games this season you're talking about, and with last season's criticism, it's led to one of the best away records in Europe. So the only question I have is, if it isn't sustainable, you're talking over a year of playing this way, and in that in a calendar year they're tracking towards 105 points. That's where I look at it and think I'm not quite buying yet into the idea that this is going to crumble and fall, because the consistency of output from Arsenal in terms of picking up points and winning games is there. Because the one thing that isn't happening, I agree the attack isn't great at times and in certain games, but they don't look like losing. And I think that when you think about all of our teams have been in a situation where we're picking up wins and we're like, bloody hell, that was a bit lucky. But in the game, you look like you really could have lost. I don't.
So tell you what happens. What happens when they do lose though, and they start to lose confidence? Because they got to a period last year where Saliba wasn't looking that great. Gabriel was looking better than him.
Okay, I'll answer that question. So when you say when they do lose, well, but let's take stock in what we know in the last 2 years. How many games have they lost?
Yeah, their record's good. I'm not saying it's not.
But this is the point. This
doesn't mean that I should just ignore the fact. Ignore how they perform.
I don't think. Who said you should ignore? My question is this: we have seen Arsenal lose games in the last 2 years. It's not as if they've in that period where they've become title contenders. have we seen Arsenal lose a game, say for instance, this weekend against City, and then go on a 2, 3, 4, 5 game losing streak and not recover? We have seen them lose games and invariably within a match back to winning, back to being hard to break down. Of course, you're going to get defeats. And this is where I think analysis of football needs to be better from fans, like all of us that have moved into this space. If Chelsea are brilliant this week, brilliant 5, 6, 7 games running, and then have a bad game, that bad game isn't the proof that they're not as good as you looked in the previous matches. I think you need a bigger body of work. So I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with the things you're saying that are wrong. But I've watched Arsenal the same as you have in this last year or so, and they don't look like losing many of these games. That gives you a baseline to grow from. If you're looking like you're hanging on,
and at the same time, they don't look like winning. And at the same time, they don't look like winning, bro.
But when you say they don't look like winning, how are they tracking towards 105 points? How have they won 9 of their last 10 away games? The actual proof and evidence is there.
But let's talk about this season, bro. I'm talking about especially the last 2 games against Spurs. That game, if the game finished 0-0, I wouldn't be surprised. No one would complain if that game finished 0-0.
Dom, but let's not look at 2 games. 2 games isn't a body of work. 2 games is a very small. You want to make the sample. You want to make the sample size really small to fight your narrative.
No. I spoke about last season.
When we judge Real Madrid as they currently are, when we judge City, when we judge Man United from a negative standpoint, we don't look at 1 or 2 games in isolation and go, that proves they're the best. Man United,
Terry, what did I say earlier?
Man United, but you've just said, so again, I'm asking you the question. When you say that games are like losing, there's not been very many games in the last year, 18 months.
I never said they look like losing. I never said they look like losing. I said they don't look like winning either at the minute. I said last season, I wasn't convinced with them half of the season. Second half after the bye, they improved. That's what I said earlier, right? But I'm saying now it's a new season, bro. Now it's a new season. And without Odegaard, for me, that is a massive miss. And when he got injured, that's what I was speaking about at the time, bro.
I understand the criticism. I've made them too. What I would say about it being a new season is the one thing about football, it's a continuous cycle. What happened at the end of last season doesn't, or 2 seasons ago, doesn't necessarily disappear because a new campaign begins. Let us not pretend that some of the hangover from Ten Hag's season last year isn't still with our team right now just because it is a new season. Equally, look, there's no doubt that Arsenal have got some problems right now that need to be resolved. I think people were getting a little bit too ahead of themselves in terms of coming to a conclusion about what this means because of a handful of games.
I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm going to do, right? Because I know Odegaard's going to come back into the team eventually. Whether he's rushed back, if he gets injured again, we don't know, right? And when he comes back, I think their performances will improve. I'm just saying, I'm calling it as I see it, Terry. At the minute, I'm looking at the Spurs game. I'm looking at the game yesterday, and they looked very toothless. They didn't look like they were going to score.
So again, yesterday they absolutely did, but again, that's been criticised. So there's no argument. Yeah. Yesterday they certainly did, but if you look at the last 2 years, this team has found ways of scoring. This is it. 2 seasons running, they've broken back-to-back seasons their goal scoring record in the Premier League. So suddenly, this idea that because of a bad couple of games, this is an indication that the attack is absolutely shit. They're going to fall apart with one more injury.
That's not what I'm saying.
People are not. Hang on, let me finish my point. People are alluding to. No one's actually saying it, but what they're implying is, see, I've told you this team weren't that good, and this last couple of games is proof of why. And no one's quite saying it because I don't think people have got the bottle to say it yet. Is people are praying and hoping this becomes a regular so they can say I was right about Arsenal. Yeah, and I think it's a bit premature for that right now.
Then people that are doing that are fucked because I was actually one of the few Chelsea fans, like I told you before many times, Terry. When we finished 12th that season, I could see the difference from pre-season. Yeah, and people kept telling me it's just a little phase. I said it's not a phase, right? The season before, they were looking good. They finished off the season well. They just missed out on top 4. The following year, Saliba, when he came in and that, I could see the difference. Yeah. The only thing with that is they were going gun hole. They didn't really have a balance. But now it's like it's so defensive, and they forgot about the other side of the game. You know what I'm trying to say?
Maybe, but I think the goal scoring will improve. One thing I do agree with, and again, is Martinelli needs to be riding that bench. I mean, I was looking at some of these numbers ahead of this game. This was against Atalanta, did nothing other than 1 big chance missed, and 0 goals or assists in these last 17 matches. I mean, Staffy, is this one of those things where playing him into form isn't working? Does Arteta need to look at dropping him for a prolonged period of time?
what form is there to play it in? Like, I don't get it. What does this guy do in order to sit there and wait and like you're like, yeah, let me play him into form? What form is he gonna give you? This guy's so mid. This Arsenal team has outgrown him, and I don't know. Like, to be fair, I'll give the some of the Arsenal fans this. Some of them have realized that it was time to move on from him and just upgrade. Like, some of them said maybe it's a bench option or we just need to improve on him in general. And I feel like the other half, if anyone thinks you can play him into form, I would ask what form. What is the form? What is the best Martinelli that you can get in this team? Because he's had one decent season, don't get me wrong, where I think he finished the season with about 16 goals. So that was decent. What?
Malacia is back training with the squad.
Oh my God, you scared me, bro.
I haven't.
Look at his face. I was like, did I say something wrong?
I can't believe it. We're
Saying that.
Bro, he scared me. I was like, did I say something wrong? I was like, did I say something offensive? I was like, I swear I was watching my language. But yeah, I saw he's back into training. But no, there's no form to play him back into, bro. I honestly think what's his name? Sterling should be starting over him. Because in a perfect scenario, I can see a front line clicking between Havertz, Sterling, and Saka. At their best, I feel like, all right, you know what? He's kind of that link-up player up front. He can play both in behind to his wingers. You got Saka a little bit more on his creative bag. You got Sterling doing the far post run a little bit good. You know, so if they all click together and they mesh up and they get that chemistry, I do see that front line being decent. I don't see a front line with Martinelli in it anymore. And that's why I banged on it all summer saying they need to move on. What's that?
I'm saying that shit bought ass, man.
Bro, it's what they have. I just gotta. They have to get. I have to deal with the cards I'm being dealt right now. Like, in an ideal world, I wouldn't say play a front line of Saka, Havertz, and Sterling. But these are the cards I'm being dealt right now. So I just gotta go by what I see in front of me. You know I like Trossard, but Trossard does not. The thing about this guy, he cannot play 90 minutes. He lacks physicality so much that he cannot play for 90 minutes. And that's why, like, when he went to Arsenal for 20 mil, I was sitting there that day. I was like, how did he just go for 20 mil or 25 mil? It was something like that. I was like, that's so cheap. But then it's just, the more you see him playing this Arsenal system, you could tell that he's not playing 90 minutes. The way Arteta especially wants to play, he cannot keep up with 90 minutes. He's a very good player, but he's not a 90-minute player. And I'd rather him in the 10 anyways until Odegaard is back. But I don't know where Terry went. You know, his form is he disappeared just like the Arsenal goal scoring form. But I don't know, bro. That it's just that front line is so mid, bro. It's crazy.
What you saying? You got a better goal scoring for me recently, Terry Staffy. That's what
we got 10 goals in the last 2 games. Numbers don't lie. You know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't
lie. Yeah, man. Numbers don't lie, man. I've scored the second most goals this season. You know what I'm saying? Numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? I put
you got a better front line than them. That shouldn't even be disputed whatsoever.
100% we've got a better attack than them. 100%. They've got a better defense. That's the main thing Arsenal have over us right now, right? If we put Saliba and Gabriel in our team, we're fucking dangerous. Fucking dangerous, bro. Right? We need to get to that level defensively. Yeah, it's not going to be easy because our attack right now, yes, is firing. We've scored the second most amount of goals, but we need to fix up in terms of the balance of the team in the midfield and at the back, you know. But this weekend, I don't see anything less than a City win. I'll be real, man. I don't think they're going to batter them. I think they're going to beat them, though.
It's stinky 0-0, bro. 100%.
I think they're going to beat them. I'm saying 2-0 City.
Bro, I'm telling you. Stinky 0-0, and we're going to regret wasting our time.
Can I ask you 2 questions, gents? I want to throw these out. If City win, would you then write Arsenal's chances off of winning the league completely? And if Arsenal were to win, does it change your mind about who the favourites are?
No and no. Because number one, I don't like to write off anyone. It's September. Come on.
Yeah, man.
I'll never write anyone off in September. 5 games, I'm running you off. What am I, Yeladin? Nah, I know ball. I wouldn't write off anyone in September. And at the same time, even if Arsenal, I wouldn't change it because context applies. Let's say City battered them the whole game. They defend very well, but they went off another corner, a set piece, you know, penalty. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, all right, the better team lost. Because it generally happens. The better team sometimes does lose on the pitch. Not because you won, it means you were the better team. They could win in a way where I'm like, you know what, on another day, City probably would have won this. But I just favor City to win it anyways because I think Pep is an absolute genius. He's not going to rest until he gets that 5p. And the scoring rate that they're going at right now, I don't see how it could be stopped. It's insane. It's going to slow down eventually. Cannot maintain scoring at this rate Haaland is not going to score 9 goals every 4 games. It doesn't make sense. So eventually we'll slow down. But if they slow down by like December, they might already by December have a huge gap where I'm like, they can afford to slow down now because they already created a huge gap between them and second place. So that's not going to change for me either way. I don't know about Don.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's too early. It's too early to be saying that that's it. That the title race is off in it because there's so much football to play. Man City, like we said earlier, they could pick up injuries to Haaland and that. They haven't got Alvarez anymore that can step in there. There's so many things that can still happen. But it just means that you're now chasing Man City. And chasing Man City is something that you don't want to be doing, bro. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want them guys breathing on your neck, and obviously you don't want to be chasing them either. So if they lose, it's just going to make it harder. Now it's like you're depending on other teams to beat Man City, which right now seems like it's you're climbing Mount Everest, bro. Because City, they have they've got their team in it. Like no one's injured. Only Ake, I think, is the only person injured. Everyone's fit at the minute, I think. They've got a very good bench and they've got options, to start. Yeah. So yeah, I think KDB is going to be fit tomorrow, apparently as well.
Yeah, there's talk he might be on the bench. Yeah, look, I agree. I don't think you write off either in either direction. I think if Arsenal were to pick up the win, I think it would solidify that. It would give them a much better. Of course, again, this sounds like such an obvious thing. Being a point ahead gives you a much better chance than being 5 points behind, and your hardest game is out the way. But there is a long, long way to go. I'd be interested to see Arsenal's confidence after this if they were to win and what they could go on to and achieve. But yeah, I wouldn't write either of them off with either of those results personally. Don probably thinking too early to call it because Chelsea is going to win the league.
Win the league? Chelsea's going to win. What's he
league.
Talking about? Is he referring to the game, the West Ham game?
No, he's saying that you're not. You don't want to. You're saying it's too early to predict like the winner.
Because I think we're going to win the league.
Big up, Staffy, on Bleacher Report. Phenomenal. Yeah, big up for what you're doing over there on Bleacher Report, mate. Wicked stuff.
Big up,
Thank you, running. People like Yeladin like to tell me I don't know ball. Guess what? A multi-million-dollar organization does not agree with you. So which one I'm going?
Tell him again, bro. Tell him again.
Let me rephrase that. Multi-billion. They're owned by Warner Brothers. Just want to put that out there.
Oh, actually, billion. Yeah. Sorry,
Warner Brothers. Why was Rio Ferdinand mentioning Terry on 5? Was he?
Terry getting clout. Did he?
I don't need clout on the social world. I was part of the originators that invented this shit, bruv. No, I'm ain't joking. I don't know. Did he mention me? I haven't watched the show in a while.
Send us the clip bit, Bruno.
Send me the clip.
Send it on Twitter.
If it was nice, then big up Rio, love ya. If it wasn't, mug. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm very calm about the situation. We started slow last season with an easier start and no injuries. Once we click, it was chance creation galore. It's game week 4. Yeah, that's fair. From Dial Square. Inter Milan also shut Haaland down. This is true. This is very, very true indeed. Of course, Don chats nonsense. Used to it by now is what Wayne has got to say here.
Oh, you can't give any constructive
criticism on one day. People who listen, Terry has created a platform for you guys, and it's gonna sound like I'm glazing Terry right now, but he's created a platform for you guys where you can either call in, become a person like a member, like I started on the Terrace, or you can send in super chats that get airtime, that get recognition, that actually get time stamped. And instead of you arguing back, you guys usually just leave little statements like, this guy's a clown, he's waffling, it's nonsense. You already paid the money. How about you just counter with your opinion? Like, imagine that you have a chance to actually voice your opinion, but instead you just use it to call names. Oh yeah, this guy's, he's
too many of them. They like to bury their head in the sand, innit? And that's why I always say the heartbreak is always sweeter. It's always sweeter. So Wayne,
I just want to explain why someone waffling. Just say why they're waffling about. Like, just tell me what it is.
It doesn't like that I'm speaking the realness on his club, right? I call out my club as well. I call out my club when I see shit. I'll speak about it.
Well, I look at it this way. It's your opinion. I disagree with some of the things you say about Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, everybody, but it's about having a conversation back. My biggest bugbear is that's waffle. Why is it waffle? They don't really give an answer. Or people that just sit there on the internet attacking you, the person, or slagging you off, saying it's nonsense, it's crap, it's bullshit, and never really giving. Well, they don't give a reason as to why you're wrong. They just give you their opinion. So, okay, well, you've given me your... Someone sent me a message last night, and they said, how can you say Arsenal's defense is strong when they conceded a penalty? So one mistake from, by the way, the midfielder, not the defenders, doesn't undo how good the defense is. I didn't say one mistake undoes how good the defense is. You did, by saying, how can a team have a good defense if they gave away a penalty? And then he just went into a tyrant, consistently slagging me off about other things. And I'm like, but I answered your question very politely and honestly. But the difference was, what it really is, this individual just doesn't want to hear Arsenal's defense be praised. So, but it's very, very strange. But there we go.
Yeah, they've been like this even before social media, Terry. Like, I've grown up, like I've said, a lot of my friends are Arsenal fans. They are the most sensitive bunch, Staffy. When you come London, Staffy, I'm gonna take you to the ends, and you're gonna meet all of them. Right? The moment you say you're gonna be like, yeah, Arsenal, you know, doing big things right now, they'll be like, yeah, bro, come in the yard, man. Go to the fridge, get whatever you want. The moment you say one bad thing, they'll tell you to get the fuck out. Get the fuck out, bro. That's how they are. Even before social media, they have always been like this, bro. Always.
I believe it.
Listen, everyone that has tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Please hit the like and the share button before the end of the show. We're back tomorrow. Football's back again from the 12:30 game. We're covering the 3 o'clock, and of course, Man United in the evening as well.
Don't give a prediction before we go, Terry.
I said 2-0.
2-0.
Oh,
he predicted it.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody as always, to our new old subscribers, super chatters. You're all absolutely amazing. And by the way, the person that suggested leasing a line for the internet at my house done it all today. It does take a month or two for them to put it in, but I didn't know you could do that. I really didn't. So I can get fiber optics where I am. I've just got to pay for a complete line to be put in. But I realized it's protected then, and nobody else has access to it, which then means it's like perfect. So thank you for suggesting it. So the internet will improve here soon, which means I can stream in 4K, which will be nice. Until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.